much time do I have? I almost want to.
2 minutes, you got?
Yeah. I just want to-
Okay.
Did your son take my? He is oh no, here they are. I thought he took them. I was about to say he is the worst.
If there's candy to be had, he will.
Well, it's Altoids, so he's just like,
Check.
yeah, he does. He'll take anything.
Check. Awesome. All right, we are up.
You good?
Yeah. Just making sure that I was in frame because I got up. So
Okay, let's go ahead and count this thing down and get it going.
Okay.
We're going to see.
and I'm just gonna like share the link on my page just so that.
Margo, do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
That's fine. That is fine with me. All right, 3, 2, and 1. This is Square Media Studios, and this is The Project with Steve Rutherford. Thank you, folks, for watching. I appreciate that. On tonight's show, we have Margo and Dayle Lockhart. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
You're
you
welcome.
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Well, before we get into that, we've known each other for a long time. You and I
That's true.
met at it was a conference in New York.
Yes, it was they were it was at an ad agency conference where the
you hit
holding
that real
company.
quick? I'm sorry. Yeah, just hit record.
That'll do it.
It's the very top. There's two. I'll get to it.
All right.
We've known each other for a long time. You and I met at it was a conference in New York.
So did it stop?
It was it was at an ad
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, that's me. I'm
no,
sorry.
this is
Now we're
all live.
Now we're live.
No, it's been it's been
The whole
live.
thing. Oh, the whole thing was
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Sorry about that, folks.
No.
But yeah, man, I remember
Live,
you and I
live,
met
live.
at this conference in New York.
IPG
IPG.
was
That's right.
acquiring agencies,
Yeah.
and they had just gotten into the multicultural space. Translation was in the house,
Right.
And we were up there with quite a few friends. Keisha Walker.
It was a big deal.
It was. I mean, that was a party to be at.
Right. Right.
And we were in the room. We were invited, and that's really where we started to talk. It was a group of, man, I'm trying to think if it was 6 or 8 of us in total, and then the 2 of us had just started to talk.
Right.
And then we decided that we were aligned in a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's been sort of history ever since.
I agree. We came back, and I'm not sure if it was there or here where we said, let's just start a business.
Yeah.
And that's when we started Lockhart. I mean,
Yeah. Lockford.
Lockford, right.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yep.
I always liked that name.
I know, right? I know.
I came across some old stuff the other day with it, and I thought it was pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was digging in the archives.
That's where you'd find it, too.
Yeah,
Right,
digging
right.
deep in the crates. Absolutely.
And folks, just to let you know too, this is a first. This is a very, very laid back and kind of a soothing show because tonight we have a little bit of vino, which is kind of cool.
just a
I'm
little.
liking this.
Just
It's-
a little. It still is.
yeah, it is.
not bad.
I highly recommend doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I should do it every show.
Right. Some of these topics would tend to get away from you.
Probably so. So tell me this though, Dayle. Sci-fi. I guess you've always been into sci-fi.
Oh yeah, I've been into science fiction. I estimate I started when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
I was having a bad first grade day,
Right.
and my mom kind of treated me that day and put me in front of a show called Star Trek.
Oh.
And she had a feeling that this would appeal to me somehow. She just didn't know.
Right,
And it was
right.
a favorite show of hers. I grew up in a household that kind of encouraged that.
So she liked that.
Yeah, so
Wow.
she was a Star Trek fan,
Ah.
and she was like, "Oh no, you'll dig this."
Right.
So the episode that she puts me in front of is called The Ultimate Computer. Mm-hmm. So The Ultimate Computer is the brother that plays Blackula. He plays
Oh.
Richard Daystrom,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
like this super smart dude in like the Federation. So he's on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Right.
And I'm 6 years old, right? And up until that moment, my dream is to be a cop, right? Because I watched SWAT on TV, and I was going to be TJ with my hat turned back, and that was my whole. I was going to be the cool cop.
I'm going to do that.
Right, because I grew up in a housing project, and they were the most powerful people I ever knew.
Right.
They were cops.
Yep.
So here's this brother on the bridge of this futuristic ship, and Captain Kirk comes up to him, telling him what he's not going to do, and the brother's back up in his face like, no, this is what we're going to do. And I'm just like, ho.
Right.
You can do that?
Right.
On a spaceship.
That was a different paradigm, wasn't it?
Right? And, it's a bad first example because the brother turned out to be wrong in that case. But
that's okay.
after he walks off, then I watch Uhura walk on to the bridge. So I'm like, so even at 6 years old, so first you're telling me that I can be here talking like this to Kirk. And then there are women who look like that.
Right.
There are girls who look like that.
Yeah.
So I turned to my mom that day at the end of the episode and said, that's where I want to work. She says, on the Enterprise? I was like, in the future.
Yeah.
I want to be in the future.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been hooked. So my mom got me books. She would turn me on to like Octavia Butler. She would take me to the library, to the science fiction section and say, have at it. And I was like Douglas Adams, Ben Bovey, just whatever we got to do.
Wow.
Heinlein, and I just ate it up. And it worked, you know what I mean? Because I do work in the future, and I ended up with Uhura. So it all kind of
Yes, you did. You sure did.
It all kind of came back around.
Wow. But Margo,
Yes.
you're into sci-fi as well. It's not like you're just like, he does that. This is not for me.
Right. Well, I was in denial about that for a really long time. I was.
Really?
So while his mom was introducing him to Star Trek, my mom was introducing me to Star Trek, but not in that much of a nice way either.
Okay.
My mom was like, "This is what we're watching."
One TV, whatever's on.
Right.
So she's like, "This is what we're watching," and so that's what I watched. And after years of watching the original Star Trek and then the Next Generation, and my mother was also into like monster pictures, monster movies. Yeah, she loved Godzilla. And then my sister and I would fight over Spider-Man when we get home after school. Who's gonna? Well, actually, no. That's the one show we did not fight over was Spider-Man.
Okay.
Right.
Let me correct that. That was just one show we did not fight over, and so I did not realize that I loved science fiction until many years later. I was in denial, and we went to a conference. We went to a conference or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I knew more facts than I needed to know.
Oh, man. Yes. Yes.
Way more Star Trek information than I thought that I knew.
Yeah.
Way more science fiction, way more Afrofuturism information.
Right.
I knew about, Octavia Butler at the time. I knew it was so much. And then I was like, oh, wow, I'm one of them.
Right.
I'm one of them. I am actually one of them.
Yeah.
And so as they say,
I mean, did you
resistance
consider
is
yourself a
trial.
Trekkie?
I did not until I went to the conference and realized that I knew more than I needed to know. And I'm like, wow, like I'm a Trekkie. And not only am I a Trekkie, but I do, love anything that has to do with science and science fiction. It was a fun trip, but it was eye-opening for me because I was pulled out of my denial at that point. I mean, and also, full disclosure, like he is definitely a Trekkie. So the theme song to the original Star Trek has always been in my head.
Right.
I can't begin to tell you how many times sex has happened to that theme
While that's
song.
been on.
Well, that has been on. And so, I mean, it's just like this soundtrack. I always tease him, like if he goes before me, like that'll be at
That's
his
the
funeral.
song you want.
No, that'll be at his funeral if he goes before me.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be at his funeral because that's just,
I like it.
Yeah. So, but I was more interested in, like earth sciences and things like that. And I didn't realize that I was reading a lot of articles on it. And I would say to him or, friends or family, did you know? Or stuff like that. And then we just realized that, the reason why STEM exists is because a lot of women aren't encouraged, right, to be into science. And I was one of those girls who got caught up in the whole, maybe you should be a secretary or maybe you should do something other than, pursue sciences. And so as a result, I just kept it as an interest, and this is a way that I'm able to kind of, keep that interest going and still live life. So.
Now, did you guys meet early on in life, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pretty early.
Wait. So you've known each other since you were like, what, 10, 11?
5. I saw Margo for the first time when I was about 5 years old.
And you said,
And I was like, "Hurrah!"
right,
All connected.
exactly.
No, so I'd seen her because we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Okay. No, which neighborhood?
We're from Marcy Projects in Brooklyn, New York,
Yeah.
where Jay-Z is from.
Right. Okay. She loves Jay-Z. She's, oh my God. Anyway, that's a different story.
All right,
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it is too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
you'll appreciate this. I grew up in 536 Marcy. Jay moved from Vernon, right? Vernon, wherever he was. He came in later and moved to 532 Marcy. I think he was on the 5th or 4th floor, and I was on the 6th floor. So during all of those early days of what Reasonable Doubt and all that stuff's about, I was kind of a witness to that from the window.
No kidding.
Yeah, we all were.
Right.
No, I mean,
It's like people who live in Queensbridge. It's just like, yeah, I know Nas. It's fine.
right.
Right? It's like, no, we're not friends, but it's like, yeah, the dude grew up right there.
Right, I know him. Okay. All right, if you know him. Sure.
Right.
But you guys known each other that long.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
So we grew up. Our
Our
families,
families
know each other. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So,
this
my
was-
mom knew his mom, and they were all activists in the area when we were growing up.
All
And
right, now.
I didn't
I'm with it.
right Black Power, so I didn't know that he was checking me like that, because at the time he was my sister's friend.
Right.
There's a small age gap between us. So when you're in high school, 2.5 years, 3 years, it's a big deal.
It is, yeah.
So he's my little sister's friend. He's
Right.
not really somebody I'm checking for.
Right.
And then went away to college, came home with my PhD in diapers instead of, paper. My beautiful daughter, shout out, Darlene, I love you.
Right.
And saw him on the A train one day, and I was like, oh, Daryl.
Are you the same guy?
Yeah, everything's legal now.
Right.
So we
That was my Anakin moment where I came back.
Is that what it
older,
was?
Like
Yeah.
a developed Jedi.
Yeah,
and I was like,
right.
Oh, well then let's. Yeah.
right. He was dropping a lot of knowledge, He was one of those guys. He was just like, yeah, did you know, about Mandela and apartheid? And I was like, yeah, I knew it. Yeah, but you can tell me some more.
So
And,
you were,
yeah.
you were feeling it. Okay.
Yeah. And then during our 20s, we were in and out of each other's lives.
Yeah, we were
Right.
on it.
So it was a big, he was traveling, I was taking care of my daughter, and we were in and out of each other's lives. Very convenient booty calls, which, was really good. It worked for us, I think.
It did, because I was a mess.
Yeah. I was a mess, too.
Wait,
But
you were
so was
certified
I.
mess?
Oh, I was-
No, he was,
certified.
but I mean,
Oh,
so was I
certified,
in our
yeah.
20s. Like, who's
Yeah.
not a mess in his
Well,
20s?
good
I
point.
mean,
Good point. Yeah.
No matter how, just to the audience out there, no matter how together you think somebody is in their 20s, they're just not.
Right.
Right.
20s is a hot mess.
When did together really happen? Around 40,
30.
30 something?
Well, 35, I would say, for us. 30
No,
together.
like when we got married.
No, I think he's like, when do you get it together?
Oh, when do you
Yeah.
get it? I'm sorry, I
Right.
missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when do you get it together? I think
It's
you
about-
start
what's
working
it,
on
7-10?
like less
About now.
a year ago.
Together's about
No, I
now.
think you start thinking to yourself at around 29, 30, I need to get my shit together. Like,
Right.
I need to get credit together. I need I need to get all these fuckboys out my life. Like, you start thinking stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, it's just
right.
okay, I gotta, for women, it's like my biological clock is ticking. If you want kids, if you don't want kids, it's cool. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want
yeah.
kids, it's just like, oh my God, like my biological clock is ticking. Like I can't be messing with guys who don't want to pay for a date, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? So you start to
Yeah,
upgrade
yeah.
your own self.
Yep.
And then if you meet someone, then you make that happen and
Right.
you start your family and whatever. But if your goal is not to meet someone, you just start acquiring things that you think a 30-year-old or 40-year-old should have. And
Right.
you start getting your credit together.
Right.
Maybe you move into a townhouse or whatever. Maybe you move in with a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, So, I mean, I just think around that 29, 32, but even in your 30s, like, I don't think I really have myself together in my 30s even. I think
Right.
in my 30s, my head was still about, like, still kind of like what other people were thinking. So I was wanting to acquire things because like other people had
Yeah.
it.
Right.
I mean, now I'm making a certain amount of money. We're married. Married Black people in this tax bracket should be doing this.
Right. We need
So
this
we
car.
started doing these things, and it was like
Right.
it still wasn't about like us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it wasn't until like that for me. It wasn't until like that 35, 40.
Yeah.
You
Right,
know? And it's
right,
funny
right.
because even though I'm a little bit older than him, he's like more mature than me in some ways.
In some ways.
He's got that
A
old
lot
spirit.
of ways. Yeah, he has a much older spirit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think around at 35, 40, like our marriage took some hits, right?
Yeah.
Just to be full transparent.
right,
like,
right.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to this level of happiness without some hits.
Oh,
That's just the
absolutely.
reality
Yeah.
of
That's
it.
that's true.
And so during that time, we were like, okay, let's reevaluate everything. Like, who are we?
Right.
Who are we?
Right,
You
right.
know, void of mom, dad, cousins, everybody.
Everything,
Right?
yep.
The world.
The
Like,
internet.
who are we?
Right.
And I think right. So I think at that point we were like, okay, this is who we are.
Yeah.
And then we continued on a track. So I
Yeah.
think if you're with someone, it's around that 35, 40 where you're like, okay, my shit is like kind of together now.
Yeah, yeah.
And now that I'm like 50, like I feel like I'm so like amazing now. Like, like I feel like all those years have led up to like me being like so fly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh my God, like I am just like, I went through all of this and
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not trying to like tell kids what to do because I'm just like, y'all figure it out like I figured out.
Yeah.
Just know that when you figure it out, you'll be as fly as me when you get there. You know,
Right,
Just that-
right,
You know,
right.
this is that simple.
Yeah.
You know, when you figure it out, you'll be fly. You know. You know, I'm not going to tell you how. If you ask me, you know, I'll give you
Well,
some
that's the
advice.
training period,
Yes.
really.
Yeah.
You got to really get through it if you can.
Yeah.
And look, everybody doesn't get through it.
Right.
You know, they don't.
Yeah.
don't.
Like I always
So-
tell him when it comes to like sci-fi movies and any type of movies, especially kung fu movies, which is the other genre that I grew up watching.
Right.
I love the origin story.
Uh-huh.
That's my favorite arc of a movie. Is that origin story? How did Magneto become so evil? You know, or
Right,
how
right.
did you know? How did Superman like? What's his story? I love to
Right.
know people's story. Like,
Yep.
how did you get to this place? And you know, it always has like the music and like with the scene in Rocky, you know, going through the snow, like
Yeah.
the work. It's the
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
the process.
Yeah.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So you know, similarly, like in marriages or life, like there's that process. But then there's also that time where you're like reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
And you're reaping the joy and you're reaping the outcome of it.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
You know, when I give young people advice, I just say, listen, you're gonna have your ebbs and your flows. Just make sure when you're in your your flow period, like you're swimming, you're flowing, you're enjoying the water, you're enjoying the sunshine on your face because that's
But you know,
what it's about.
ebbing and flowing happens throughout your entire damn life.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That shit does not end.
Yeah, no, in love, whether you have someone and you don't, like
Yeah.
it's just it's ebbs and flows, and finances and family stuff, and
Right.
it's just ebbs and flows, and you
Right.
just you take it, and you're gonna be okay. Yeah, you're gonna be all right. Like and that's what I always tell people, like you're gonna be all right. You just have some wine, whatever vice you have.
Right.
Like you need your vices. If it's exercise, if it's weed, whatever your vice is,
Right, right.
you know, you enjoy it in moderation. And,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna be all right.
That's true. That's true.
You're gonna be all right.
Wow. Daryl, wow, that was Margo. That like kind of blew me away a little bit there.
That's my baby.
Yeah, you are so true about that. So tell me this about sci-fi though, man. And because it's funny you talked about the story behind each character, if you will. What I mean, I know you said you got kind of drawn into sci-fi through Star Trek. But when did you really begin to want to know, like, the character? What made this person? Was that from the very beginning as well?
No, I didn't care about who Spock was. I didn't care about who Kirk was. I thought that the ship was amazing and that stuff was cool. To be honest, it was my other love is music. Sun Ra made me go deeper into sci-fi and science fiction and futurism
Right.
as a study, right? So if whatever your favorite music is, whatever that thing is,
Right.
when you hear their first record, right, you can't just take that one Miles tune and be like, yeah, I kind of like this, and not listen to nothing else. You obsess over it. You have to hear that album,
Right.
Over and
the
over, yeah.
outtakes,
Yep.
the other album before it, his
Exactly.
electric period, his blue
Yep.
period. You have to hear all that. So for me, Sun Ra opened up ideas about futurism, which to me was just like, wait.
Right.
This gives black folks context in tomorrow. So how do you get from 1983 to 2083? Right. And so
right.
when you look at it in a timeline, it's like, and then you have movies like Back to the Future, which
Right.
explore timelines. That timeline concept got me into individual characters.
Okay.
So There are films that I love. There are TV series that I love that I love because they go way into that, right? And they go into our son, for example, not the biggest sci-fi fan in the world. Because if mom and dad are into it, then give me a
It's
break.
not cool at all.
But
We
he's
love
one of the
OJ.
people for whom the 2009 Star Trek movie was made for. Why? Because it shows where Kirk came from.
Right.
When the decision he made, like he could have stayed on the bike and stayed in Iowa and it would have been
Right,
fine. He would have
right,
been in
right,
jail.
right.
It would have been
Yep.
great. But he makes that decision to get on that ship,
Exactly.
right? There are so many moments like that in science fiction where not only do you see a character make a decision to
Yeah,
turn,
yeah.
but there are moments in my life where I've read Samuel R. Delany books where it's just like, man, this is what mankind has done. So the origin story is key because we're in the origin story now. The 21st century is, give me a break. Like, we're still burning fossil fuels for cars, right? Like, this is not by any stretch of the imagination it.
Yeah.
But at some point, what we're doing right now was impossible.
That's
right?
true.
Like, we're in this studio, in this state, and we're out to everyone,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And we take it for granted. It's like, oh, I got my phone here.
Right.
And it's fine. Like 20 years ago, that was impossible.
That's exactly right.
So true futurists, right? And if you notice, just as a side note, like corporations are starting to employ futurists, not
Yes,
just
they are.
Google, but like Rackspace. Lots of different kind of corporations are hiring futurists. Why? Because they can help you chart a path,
Right. They're predictors.
right? And how do you do that, right? In order for you to predict something going forward, you have to kind of see where it came from and give
Exactly.
it context.
Yep.
Right? Futurists are wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Hence
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
No flying
Yeah.
cars. But at least you have a track to go on.
Right.
So that, from a corporate perspective, you're able to predict for a corporation where your market's going to go. Who's your audience going to be in 2020? Right?
Right.
A true futurist can tell you that in 2010. Why? Because they're like some mystical genius? No. If you look at the rate of consumption and you apply certain algorithms
Right.
and just look at patterns, you can see where stuff is going.
Right. Right.
I think Tanner Reeve Dew said once at an award show that sci-fi fans are the R&D department of the human race,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Because like the ideas that we come up with and the stuff that we obsess about,
Right.
Yeah.
right, is the stuff that inspires tomorrow.
Right,
The
right.
Yeah.
not just technology, but thinking, feeling, relating. A lot of that just comes from science fiction. So the origin story for me is really what makes it exciting, and where the overlap for superhero stories, for me, makes it exciting as well.
It's funny that when I'm thinking about Star Wars right now, and they have not told the origin of what's her name. She's in the latest film. She's,
Ray?
Ray.
Okay.
Right. And I'm like, they got to tell people where the heck she came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that it's got to be somebody that we already know.
Yeah, I think everybody thought that she was Luke's daughter at first
I didn't.
because she grew up on the desert planet, right?
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And kind of abandoned and that sort of thing. I'm still not clear on where they're going with this.
Right, right.
I know they got a few months to wrap it up because
Yeah.
the last movie is supposed to be coming. But that origin story is going to be, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I hope.
Right, right, right.
And if it ties everything together, it's really, really going to be good.
Were you surprised at anything that happened? No, in the last movie, like when they
No.
killed off. Why can't I think of anybody's name right now?
Luke?
No. Oh, he did that, didn't he?
Yeah, Luke dies at the end.
He sure did.
Spoiler alert.
If this is
People are
spoiler
pissed.
alert now,
It's like if you haven't seen episode 8,
wait a minute.
there's somebody. There's somebody who's just like, this guy. Man. Luke dies, bro. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Sorry about that.
out of here. But I totally forgot about that. But I was thinking about
The bad guy or good guy?
good guy.
Oh, Han Solo.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
That was a surprise to me.
That was I think that was an awesome surprise.
It
right?
was. Yeah, I agree. I
Like
agree.
that's the last thing you expect.
Yeah.
was for Han to go. Yeah, I think stuff like that is.
But his son is an evil, twisted, confused dude.
But if you look at it in the context of Star Wars, right? Is he a twisted, confused dude, or is he like the ultimate cosplayer?
Look, here he go.
Like, is he trying so hard to be granddad?
Like the rest of the world sees it like you.
Right? And it's like, you're trying so hard to be Vader.
Yeah,
That's
true.
just like, dude, it's not who you are.
Right.
Even Snoke is like, dude, you're a poser.
You're right.
I'd rather have this guy
He
than
did
you.
say
You're
that.
not the real
He
deal,
basically
right?
said, you ain't shit. to me.
Right.
Right,
Like,
Don't
look,
even
this
try
guy
that.
has done
Right.
everything, giving me reports. It's stapled.
Right.
It's nice. You're out there like, Tuesday. I'm going to have it. So I'm kind of, for me, the jury's still out on Kylo.
Right.
And that's important because,
Yeah.
because Kylo represents like the sort of the Hotep community, right?
Right.
And it's just like they're posing, right? And they're really trying real hard to be,
Right.
like super evil and
Super
and
bad,
scary,
super
right?
evil. Yeah. Mhm.
They've got to do this, and they've got to they got to convince you of it,
Yeah.
right? So much so that like you're sitting there like Lamont, I know your mom.
Right.
Why are you like your mom's a really cool person?
Yeah, what are
Like-
you doing?
Like, why are you out here with the mask? What is the deal with
Yeah.
this? With the hat? Stop it.
Right.
So Kylo is critical for that reason, and so him killing Han, right, is dope because if he's the Hotep community, right,
Right.
like he has slain the past generation to get to the generation before it. So he's killed
Yeah.
off Gen X, right, because they're in super rush to get back to the 60s.
Right.
Right. It's like, I don't need this. You're
Right.
telling me to be temperate and save money and be a moderate citizen. Ah.
But to me, one of the baddest dudes that I've seen on there is I don't know what the hell he is, but he's got the red face with little horns on his
Oh, Darth Maul.
whatever.
Yeah, Darth
Yeah.
Maul
I'm
was
like,
badass.
that's a bad
Yes.
mother.
He was
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, dude, Darth Maul
Definitely
is,
a fave.
right, one
the
of the
kids say
most
problematic.
underrated. He was super problematic.
Yes, a problematic
Super
fave.
problematic.
Why was he problematic?
Well, his backstory is in like Clone Wars, which is an animated
Right.
series on Netflix.
Yep.
Right. For those of you, if you need a Star Wars fix, that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
And so the backstory that they give Darth Maul is just like, oh, this guy's got like layers to him.
Right.
Like
Okay.
he was trying to be the best. And he had achieved it, right? Like he got to square off with Obi-Wan and
Right.
the Chosen One.
But that's coming out though, right?
the Darth Maul thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
What's scheduled next is that Boba Fett, the Mandalorian thing, and so it's supposed to be sort of a backstory to Boba Fett.
Oh.
Like who are the Mandalorians?
Well, wait. Let me stop for a second.
Yeah.
So, how many more episodes are there going to be?
So it's Disney, right? So like as much if people will keep
I mean, I'm
going,
going to be
long as
freaking
they
99
keep-
years old.
yeah.
I'm like, damn it, I'm going
Yeah.
to see this one.
and yeah, it'll be like the backstory to Yoda. It'll be like Star Wars -13.
Right.
The heartwarming story of Yoda and Chewbacca.
Like I never thought we would be taking our son to this.
Isn't that crazy?
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
how many movies has it been since his life? Like four?
Four. Oh no, five.
5 in his lifetime.
There's been 5 episodes
He's 15.
in his lifetime.
15, yeah.
And now with these spin-offs,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, true.
right? With
True.
Rogue One.
Yep. Yeah.
And
I
Solo.
like that, by the way.
Rogue One was awesome.
Yeah.
Rogue One.
It's a soap opera.
Yeah.
It's a really big story, really big.
There was
soap
no
opera,
names
really
in it.
Big, no, right.
Well, you know what I mean? But
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Forrest
so it's
Whitaker
just,
counts.
Yeah.
true.
No shade. It was
No, no.
It's all good.
I'm sorry, I forgot about Forrest Whitaker. Sorry.
He was like no names. Forrest's agent is like,
Yeah, what the hell? Sorry.
hi, bro.
I am sorry. He was in there, but he had his leg chopped off in his arm, and so I didn't recognize
He
him.
had the wild fro. He had a smash fro.
He
was-
did, yeah.
He was keeping it together though.
He was.
Saved the dream.
So let me ask you this:
Sorry, go ahead.
what's probably the worst or some of the worst sci-fi movies ever?
I'll
So
let you
just
start.
give you. No, I'm not going to give an answer. You're going to give an answer, but you need to know the backstory.
Okay.
So we get together. We're shacking up. Right.
Right.
This is when you're supposed to get to know people.
Right.
Sure.
One of the big things that I learned about this man is how much he loves bad movies.
Oh, bad movie.
Like no, he is a terrible movie aficionado. Like he loves a bad
That's
movie.
not the guy I know.
Y'all need to hang
okay.
out more.
All right.
You got to hang out more because he loves bad movies so much that he has brainwashed the rest of the family to like bad movies.
Really?
So when Darlene, our daughter, who
Right.
is an attorney here in Charlotte,
Okay.
when she watches a bad movie that she loves, like she comes over to the house, she sits down, she confiscates all remote controls, turn it on, we're gonna watch this bad movie. And
Yes.
he sits there like, wait, popcorn.
Right.
All right.
And I try to resist.
Right.
I do. I try to resist. And then the next thing you know, I'm just like, this is the best, worst movie ever.
But it's really bad.
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
one, like if it has 1 star, he's
They're
like,
generous.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, 1
Yeah.
star.
Yeah. Dude, that's somebody's career. That's somebody's that somebody started their career.
I agree
on
with
that
you.
Horrible movie.
And I also found out there's more people like him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I found out on Al Gore's internet that
Al
there-
Gore?
Yeah,
Al Gore's internet is her thing.
Okay. Sorry.
it's
Yeah,
He said
He created the
invented-
internet,
yeah.
so thusly it's Al Gore's.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyway,
there it is.
he. it's not really, but
Right.
it's a joke. Anyway, yeah, I found out that there's a lot of people like him. Like they just love bad movies.
So give me the top 3. Or just 3.
The worst, I would have to say, is, interestingly enough, the film that started Octavia Butler's career, right?
Which is okay.
Octavia Butler, when she was a kid, saw a movie called Devil Girl from Mars. And the movie was so bad that she leaves the theater saying, well, I can do something better than this, and starts writing.
yeah,
Ooh.
she told
Really?
him that in an interview.
Wow.
Well, when we met,
that
she told me the story. And I'm sure it's recorded in other stuff
Right.
as well. But it's a horrible movie. Oh my God. It's shockingly horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's for so many reasons. It's just first of all, it's called Devil Girl from Mars,
Yeah, that's where all the devils are. They hang out
right?
there.
It's
Yeah.
they're on
and that
Mars.
she's a girl. That the devil is a girl.
Well,
That's true,
yeah,
true.
Yeah.
I mean, the Martians, hello,
Could be related to Hellboy, but I'm not sure.
right? Hellboy was just a devil dude.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Devil. So if I got to do top 3, Devil Girl from Mars is definitely there. One of my favorite bad movies, oh man, of all time, is a film called Night of the Comet.
I remember the name.
1984.
Yeah.
There's a comet that's coming to New Year's Eve or something like
Yes.
that. And
You
so
indoctrinated me to that on New Year's Eve.
oh yeah. I mean, it's a tradition you got to
New Year's
watch.
Day, New Year's Eve, something like that.
Yeah. Yes, you got to watch this stuff on holidays. So Night of the Comet, I love Night of the Comet, but it's horrible. Robert Beltran, who's from Star Trek Voyager, as you know, you guys know, as Chakotay, he plays a truck driver who, because he was inside his truck of the truck bed and it was lined
Right.
with aluminum, he was shielded from the radiation that wipes out the entire world and turns some people into zombies. So it's a
He's lucky.
asteroids
with.
coming. It's
what I live
zombies. It's an 80s mall movie. It's oh man, Kelly Maroney is in it. Catherine Mary Stewart is in it.
But you actually watch him.
I
No, he
watch
watches them. Yeah,
I
like,
watch
he
Night of the
watches
Comet once a year.
Yeah.
Really?
Once a
Yeah.
year. If I can do it for New Year's, I do it for New
No
Year's.
matter how bad it is.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
it's so bad.
Yeah. Because
Because it's so bad.
It's so bad.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's Star Trek 5.
No good. Which one was this?
Star Trek 5 is the one with Spock's brother. See, you don't even know, right? That's how bad this film is. Directed by William Shatner, Spock's brother, right, Sybok, is leading a religious sort of caravan
I know
to
you're
the
talking about.
center of the galaxy so
Yep.
they can meet God.
Yep,
right? Because
yep.
God's calling him.
Yep.
And that's the one where Kirk is like, what does God need with a starship?
Right. I remember that now. That was
my,
bad.
my dad, God rest his soul, that was like a gift from my dad. Like it was that movie on VHS was just like, here you go, son, check this out. He gave me that and Rocky 3. And like he was just like, I'll put you on to something. Yeah,
Right,
mom
right.
has already, you know what I mean? I'm like 19 at the time. Mom has already kind of gotten me into the game
Yeah.
and given me stuff. So Star Trek 5 is definitely one of the worst, which I
Was that the only one that he directed?
that Bill directed? Yeah.
Wow.
Thank God, bro. That guy.
Yeah, I remember seeing that though. That was not good.
Yeah, that was not great. That was not great. It had the Planet of Intergalactic Peace, and Bill Shatner was like on to something, right? He was like he was working through something with Tech War and the other stuff that he was doing. He was trying to do a sci-fi thing, but I think he was distracted. I don't know what was going on.
Right.
None of the ideas kind
Or he
of.
just wasn't Good.
Maybe he was bad at it. Thank God he was bad at it because Star Trek V exists.
Yeah, I only have one bad movie, which is Trolls.
But Troll, no.
Oh, not our Trolls.
Troll.
Not the
Troll 2.
Troll 2. So not Trolls, the cartoon that I love
Right.
with all the music and not that one.
Not the animated
Not
Troll.
the animated Troll. There is a movie called Troll.
Troll 2.
2. Sorry, Troll 2.
Right. It's called Troll 2, but it is not a sequel to Troll.
And it was at that point, right?
Really?
Yes, and it was at that point that I realized how much fun bad movies can actually be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be a bad movie.
I haven't watched that in a while. I need
The
to. They took it off Netflix.
festival.
That's what it was.
There should be a bad movie festival.
Yeah.
We should do that.
I'm gonna tell Trey. Hey man, you ought to have that as a category.
That's the
Yeah,
hook.
tell Trey. Trey,
That's
call
the
us.
hook, bro.
Call us, Trey.
You're
Let's
doing
get this
good
going.
movies. That's why you're
Yeah.
working uphill. You got to
Yeah,
do bad
you
movies.
gotta do bad movies. Well, it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show every year.
which
It's
I
like the
love.
best.
But I don't
Yeah.
count that as a bad movie.
That's a
No, that's a bad movie, but it's a fun bad movie. It's a bad
it's
movie.
a classic.
Is it a
It's-
bad movie if people know the dance steps and
This
they're
is what
all
happens.
doing it together? Like I
is
could
what
do the
happens.
time warp right now.
And this is why we
Like,
started the podcast because
Right.
him and I would be having conversations like this, and I'm like, we should have.
And we're going to talk about that. But let me ask you this
talk about that, yeah.
this first.
Yes.
What did you guys think about what's it called? Intergalactic. Is that the name
Well, I
of it?
didn't see that.
Which one is it?
Oh God, is it Intergalactic?
Who's in it? I
What's it
don't know.
about?
You know, I can't think of people's name with the shit. This actor does a lot of these Mercury commercials.
Interstellar.
Interstellar, excuse me.
okay.
Yes.
Which
It's they're Lincolns. That's the one.
Did I
Matthew
see it?
McConaughey.
Yeah.
Anne
Did I-
Hathaway.
did I
Anne
see it?
Hathaway.
You did.
I did.
You hated
Did I like it?
No, you hated
Okay,
it.
so I hated it.
I loved it.
I think
And I like Anne Hathaway actually.
Yeah.
you liked Anne
I like
Hathaway
Anne
before I
Hathaway.
did.
Yes.
I
this is
hated Anne
true.
Hathaway forever.
I don't know why. Like I liked. Well, you know, I liked her. He didn't
Yeah.
like her.
I
We
didn't
had a
like
whole
Anne.
Anne Hathaway fight.
Well,
Why? Just differences of opinion, I guess.
sort of. See, I didn't like her. Well, like that smile really kind of bothered me. It really kind of. It was kind of jokery,
We
and
had,
I was really
we had
kind
an
of.
argument over The Devil Wears Prada.
We had a full-on marital spat.
You know something that's funny as shit. I love that movie.
I do too.
I
He
did not at
hated-
first.
No, he still. Just be honest. It's okay. He
No,
still
no,
hates
no.
it.
I've
no,
seen
he
it.
still hates it. He does. He
I
doesn't
don't
like the
hate
movie,
it.
but our argument was not necessarily the movie. It was a business. So, it was a business argument.
Right.
It was a
How so?
about our philosophies in business. Editor versus
Publisher. Right?
Really?
So
Yeah.
it turned into this 2-day argument.
Right. Because I felt like at the time.
Not 2 hour, but 2 days.
When we
days.
fight, we don't
It's
fight
epic.
a lot. But when we fight, it's like
They're
it
epic.
can
It goes
span-
on
it can
forever.
Span a week.
Oh.
It can span a week.
Yeah.
The makeup sex is always good.
But
Yeah, well, I
you
can
know, it's
imagine.
after a week, so
Yeah, yeah, right.
yeah. So we fought over Devil Wears Prada. I felt like, you know what I mean, because I had to bring my man energy in, right? Because women,
course.
women don't understand movies, so you have to explain
Right.
what they're looking at.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you don't understand. She's not the powerful one. He is, right? The publisher is the most important person at a magazine. She's like, without the editor, what the hell is he publishing?
Wow.
And I'm like, anything he
Wow.
wants. Why? Because we're men, and this is
Yeah.
this is the core of the problem. Now, I'm gonna. I didn't think we were going to share this, but I'm going to share this. This is how wrong I was about not just that, but about
Moment
so
of
much,
truth here.
right? Moment of truth. So I'm here, right, and it's all cool. And she's
Right.
like, yeah, Daryl's a sci-fi guy. And people are right now like, oh, this guy knows his stuff. So let me give you a little context for why this fight was important. I did not watch Star Trek Voyager for years. For years.
Right, okay,
Right?
okay.
It came out and I was just like, oh, it's the show with the blonde with the boobs and the tight thing. That's not sci-fi. I'm out. I'm watching deep stuff. I'm watching Babylon 5. Forget this nonsense. You know what I mean?
The Daryl that people see online today is not the Daryl
No.
I married.
I did not watch Voyager
Mr.
when it first
Hashtag
went.
So you were a
Hotel.
snob about it.
Oh, he was.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
That I hit
That's
it on
an
that.
understatement.
Oh, it's an
Right.
understatement.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was impossible.
I refused
Impossible.
to watch the show. So Margo tells me, it's like Voyager's really awesome.
Right,
So
right.
I'm like, oh, the show where the
that was
girl
another fight we
captain
had.
loses. Yeah,
That
it
was
was
another
epic. This is
3-day
why I'm
fight
giving it
we
a thunder.
had. Yeah, 'cause you have to
The
give
show
you
where
have
the
to give
girl
Devil
captain
Wears
gets
Prada
everybody
context.
lost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that show.
So you're a purist.
I was a
He's a
purist.
purist.
At the time.
A snobby purist.
It was the original
Yes.
series or nothing.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So as time went on, of course, my position changed on that. Deep Space Nine, hugely influential in my life and in my view of Star Trek. But at the time, no ways am I watching this show with the woman who gets the crew lost. Because
Right.
we're men, and who wants to watch that?
Just the
And
fact
that's
that he
not
Yeah,
it.
men don't get lost.
Yeah, and just
Right.
just the fact that he said the woman got people lost got me riled up.
I can imagine.
I was just like,
Yeah, it didn't go over well.
First of all, that is not what happened. What the hell are you even talking about? What chat room are you in that's lying to you?
No,
like,
that
what
was-
is going
This was
on?
pre-chat. I was pre-Reddit. I was pre-Reddit with
okay.
this.
Oh, my
I was really
God.
like, no, well, I've seen 1.5 episodes, therefore I know what the whole series is like, and you're seeing it all wrong. So,
Wow.
so
Wow.
So it just became this big rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah.
And what came out was, for me, was, oh my God, he's the most misogynist person I've ever met.
Yes.
Like, how did I marry this? Like, how did I miss
yeah.
this?
Where did this come from?
Yeah, it was always there, but I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And yeah, so we found out. So, I'm like, no, Captain Janeway is her name. Captain Janeway, because he kept like saying like the woman.
Right.
And I'm like, her name is Captain Janeway.
Right.
And the fact that you have not watched this is just an insult to me personally, because this is again around the time where I'm coming out of my denial,
Right.
And I'm like, this is an insult to me
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I grew up in a house full of what we call Amazons, right? So all women, all female household, right? Moms, I have 3 sisters. I'm the oldest of 4 girls.
Right.
Oldest of 4 girls, right? Daughter, granddaughter, all women. So I'm coming with like all this feminine energy. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
Captain Janeway was fucking badass. Like, what are you talking about, you misogynistic, male chauvinist pig? And this went on for a week.
Oh.
This went on for a week.
that fight went on. So here's why I give this as context. So obviously by now I've seen Star Trek Voyager, right? So how did this happen? The woman who I love told me several times, you need to watch this show.
Right.
I'm not going to watch this show.
All right, I'm not
Show's
watching this
nonsense.
shit. There's no way.
I'm not going to do it.
A woman.
So I'm in an airport.
The captain. Just,
So I'm at LAX.
Okay.
Right? I'm catching a flight coming back home, right? And I start having a conversation with this guy. We're
a
talking.
man.
We're talking.
A
And I'm looking
man.
at him like, you look familiar. And whatever. So we start talking about New Romancer, which is a science fiction book, and he's like, I'm an actor, and I'm probably going to eat it, but you probably knew that already. I was just like, have you been in anything that I would have seen? He was like, I'm in a show called Star Trek Voyager. So this is the guy that plays Harry, right? So I'm talking to this Asian dude. And because I didn't watch the show, I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's a nice guy. We're talking,
Right.
it's fine. And I'm like, you're in Star Trek Voyager? He's like, you don't know that? This is awesome. You're not going to ask me a bunch of
Embarrassing
questions
me
about
out in the
stuff?
streets.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I'm like, you know something? My wife has always told me I should watch the show, right? But I can't get into it. Like, I can't get past 7 and 9. I can't get, he says,
Boobs. He can't get past the boobs.
right? I was honest about it. I was just
Right.
like, it's super distracting. I want to get into, like, where's the laser fights? He was like, if you can watch if you can watch 2 episodes,
Right.
Year from Hell, parts 1 and 2, and Blink of an Eye, if you can watch those 2 episodes and still say, I don't like Star Trek Voyager, it's on you.
Right.
That's
yeah.
just you, fella.
Yeah.
So I get back, and this was like I was able to get like a VHS, or was it on Spike or something like that? Whatever it was miraculously on. I watched an episode called Blink of an Eye.
You really? Really?
This is Star Trek Voyager?
He starts sending me all kinds of text messages. Hey, babe.
Emails.
Oh.
Hey, what season should I start?
But I've never been more wrong in my life. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Baby, blah, 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 blah. I'm such a misogynistic, blah, blah, blah.
So if you've ever been in an online, and we've been in Twitter situations where people are just like, Voyager's the worst of all of the Star Trek
Yeah.
series. These people are obviously wrong, but I used to agree with them
Right.
because I didn't watch the show. Now I challenge people. Have you watched an entire season, right?
Right.
And if so, Like, what was it that didn't work for you?
Right.
Like, what exactly did you
Just
miss?
the idea that so many people think that it was her fault that they got lost in space
Right.
is for me, and it's
I had to
always
go
men
back and watch the
it's
first
always
episode,
men
'cause
that
that is
say
what I
that.
thought,
Like
yeah.
it's never women that are just like it was not her fault. Like she made a decision. She made a split decision,
Right.
and she did what was best for her crew.
Right.
Just like Kirk has not done a million times, and so I'm just like, really?
You're right. You're
Like
right.
really? How he put his ego before everyone? So many. No, we can go on
that's
and on.
that's
obviously.
pretty obvious. Yeah.
We can go on.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
he was always
We can
doing
go
that.
on and on, obviously, but that is our.
Yeah.
So,
that
go back to Devil Wears Prada.
So I was bringing the same energy back to it.
Right.
Totally mansplaining a movie
Right.
that, you know what I
and
mean?
editing and publishing,
Right.
and I'm just like, no,
You don't get it. Like, the
yeah.
balance is everything. Right?
And at this time, he hated Anne Hathaway, and I'm just
But
I
for
like,
no
didn't know.
reason.
The smile. I think the
he doesn't like her smile. I don't know why.
I think the
Like,
smile used to bother me.
she's good.
Like, now I'm
need more
fine.
wine.
I think it was Catwoman. I think after Catwoman, it was fine. But the smile used to bother me, man. It was just like, what's her deal? What is she hiding?
She's
What's with you,
I
Anne
think she's a
Hathaway?
good, I think she's a good actress. I know that it's debatable, but I think that she's good. So there's
I
dig her now.
And again, I
fine.
love that movie.
yeah.
My,
I like
my
her,
wife is like, I cannot
you like it?
believe. Well, she can't believe that I watch it.
So. You don't like Anne Hathaway either.
No, I like her.
Oh,
Just the
okay.
movie.
It's just, I don't like a lot of the movies, but I like her.
Did you like the fashion in the movie? Did you like the context of the fashion?
What are we talking about?
Devil Wears
The
Prada.
Devil Wears Prada. You do? Okay.
She loves that part.
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean,
I know.
she's a designer. I would have been shocked if she had said. I would have been like, "Oh, you're not who I thought you were."
That's mad disappointing. It's just like,
Wow, like I had so
What?
much hope for our friendship. And like now, it's just like all fluttered away. We have so much work to do now. So no, I'm glad.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, this is wow. I love this show, man. I gotta have wine more often. So the movie I was asking you about.
Interstellar.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did
But
you
I
like
digress. Yes.
Big digression.
Huge digression. What was that, like 20 minutes?
it? It was like yeah.
So I liked Interstellar.
Right.
I did. And I'm not a huge Nolan fanatic.
Right.
But I thought that the ideas that he illustrated in it, it's a slow moving movie.
It is.
Which is what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you got to really slow that pace down to show the scale.
Yeah,
and
no
stuff
question
like
about
like
that. It is in fact slow moving, but it's has, well, you've already said it, but it has so much depth to it.
Yeah.
If you didn't, because there's parts you could go back and probably watch that movie 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay, I get it now. But I liked it. I
Yeah.
thought it was a very, very, and I think they said they're not going to do a second one.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of that too. I'm a big fan is once you tell the story, we're done.
Just close it out, right?
We're
Yeah.
done. Everything doesn't need a sequel,
Right.
And or a reboot,
Right.
Like,
Let me ask you a question on that. Do you think Black Panther should have a sequel?
yeah,
I'm curious to know that. Do you?
yeah. I
think
think
so?
comic
Okay.
book movies should be serialized
Okay.
because they are
Yeah.
it's a serial medium, right?
I don't
Like,
remember asking you that before.
yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, I think there should be a Black Panther.
Did you
2,
like Black
3,
Panther?
4. I did.
I did too. I thought it was really good. Really good. And the idea that it's been winning awards, I mean, I think this, to
Best
me.
Picture.
Yeah.
I feel good about Best Picture.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler.
I know, man.
We did
He's
a
amazing.
whole
Yeah.
show
Yeah, he's amazing.
after we saw Black Panther. We did like a live show, like we did a straight
In
up
fact, let me just
recording.
go to that.
Where we talked about what it meant, like in context, right? And then we asked folks like what they thought, and the impact. So none of the stuff that's happening, that's happening now, the award nominations are huge surprises to people. In fact, like it took them 10 years of going through Iron Man and all this
Yeah.
stuff to discover the movie we wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
So people are like, wow, it made $1 billion. Yeah, you could have made this $1 billion in 2009.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I did like the build up though. Like with each Marvel movie,
Right.
I did appreciate the anticipation of
Yeah.
it. Like I thought after a while they started and like it was just like, okay, it's coming. Like you would see a scene and
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
over
true,
and be like,
true.
yeah, the
Yeah.
post-credit
That's true.
scenes, you're like, oh my God, it's coming. Oh my God, Black Panther's on its
Yeah.
way. And then when they started showing, so I did appreciate the marketing behind it
Right.
because a lot of times with our movies, like we've heard many, many times that the marketing just wasn't there, the budget wasn't there, or there was
Yeah.
something that they did not do.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of heart went into this.
Yeah, I agree.
think that the people who worked on it had, were full of intention to make this what it was.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
from probably like everyone involved.
Yeah,
Like
no.
I can't imagine there's not even like someone who ran and got coffee
Right.
that did not understand the gravity of what they were working on.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that it delivered. And yeah, I mean it delivered. And it's just, there's so many arms of Black Panther. There's a lot of writers
is.
writing
Yeah.
about Black Panther. So Black writers writing about
Yeah.
Black Panther before the movie.
Yeah.
So I think that helped the writers in the writers' room to kind of help develop these characters that we grew to love.
Right.
And it's just, we're at a time where I think that we are in a Black Renaissance. I think that we're in another Black Renaissance. I think that when you have political upheaval like we have,
Right.
when I think there's been times in Black history where we knew the government was like, oh God, they're going to let's turn to creativity for our own peace of mind,
Sure.
for our
Yeah, yeah.
own, just to survive. We have turned to creativity, and I think that we saw that in the Harlem Renaissance,
Right.
and the Jazz Renaissance,
Yeah.
and all these different places where our creativity really took hold. And I think that's where we are right now. And
You think so?
Oh God, it's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
when we
Oh,
look
I
at,
agree.
like when I look at like Lena Waithe, like I have such a star crush on her right now. Like I love her. I love
Now, who's
her.
Lena Waithe?
She is an actor
Right.
who was. I discovered her. I'm sure she had a career before this, but I discovered her in Aziz Ansari. What was his name of his show on Netflix?
Oh, that Netflix show.
The Netflix. Yeah, so he had a show on Netflix, and I think it was Aziz Ansari's show or something.
It
was.
sounds familiar.
So it was his show,
Okay.
but he had a character on there who plays a gay. She's gay,
Yeah.
Right.
They grew up with.
He grew up with her.
Right, right.
And there was this episode, so I liked her
Thanksgiving
character,
episode.
right? So I liked her character from the first scene that I saw her. I was like,
Right.
wow, she's just, certain actors just command the moment.
I agree.
And she
Yep.
did, I felt.
Yep.
And then they had the Thanksgiving episode, and Steve, let me tell you, that episode, the Thanksgiving episode, Angela Bassett played her mom, and they took you from her being a child all the way to her being an adult dating, and having to tell her mom, Angela Bassett, and her family members that she's gay
One thing.
Right.
on Thanksgiving. Did she tell them on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, and then she.
Well,
came
don't give
brought-
away too much.
Yeah.
But it is so good, and her power, and the whole cast was amazing.
Right, right.
But her power in that episode kind of just like catapulted her to where she is today. So
Right.
she's doing a show on Netflix, on BT. She's redoing Boomerang.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that sister. And so it's people like her, of course, Ava,
Right,
just
right.
Issa Rae, like
Yep.
all these people. And I just feel like these people are like coming to Shonda, like
Yep.
who kind of trailblaze for so many people.
Yep.
And this is a renaissance. Like this is an amazing renaissance that I feel that Black people have decided we're not letting go. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you get it and then but no, they are doing some smart business moves.
Yes,
and
they
are
are.
like, we are not letting go. We
I
are
agree.
not letting go this minute. I love when a Black person gets an award and they'll say, you can play that music all you want, but I'm gonna say what I gotta say.
Right.
Like that is my favorite moment. Like when a Black person, like when a Black person gets a moment, like Halle Berry did that
Yeah.
when she got her award, and she was just like, that was a controversial award. Black people were split about the movie that she got
Right.
it for.
Yep.
But I loved that moment when she was just like, you gonna wait because
Right.
we waited too long for this moment.
so
and
true.
I think that we're doing that, and
Yep.
I love it. And I think that even with like shows like this and podcasts and movies and so many web shows, there's so many web series
Yeah.
now telling so many stories. What's the name of the show? The transgender show, oh gosh, why can't I remember it? Anyway, shows like that are showing
Right.
different lives, different aspects of people's lives, and I think we're in a renaissance, and I think it's beautiful.
You may be right. I mean, I think there's something certainly I feel something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it's just something that's out there. It's like, I don't know what it is.
Right.
No,
Right.
I feel exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Even as it relates to this show,
Mm-hmm.
I've been surprised at the attention that it's gotten so far.
We know exactly what you mean.
And the guests that come on, they love coming on the show, and the content has been phenomenal. So, but listen, I've launched other things before, but launching this has been kind of eye opening. I'm like, wow, there's really something with this.
People are looking for, I think that people are looking for alternatives to the news.
Oh,
And alternatives to TV. I think that the news has just drained us. And I
We talk
think
about
that,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
we
news
talk
is
about
just
that.
draining. And they don't talk about anything else but the election, about Trump. That's it. That's all they
right.
talk about.
Trump and somebody getting shot.
Oh my, right. And
Yeah.
it's just like, it's right. So it's like, okay, so what else is going on? And I think people are grasping. And
Yeah.
what's so great about YouTube and all these other platforms is that you can gravitate to what interests you.
Sure.
And you can create like your own world of sorts when it comes to media.
Right.
And say like, this is what I watch British television all the time.
Right.
I love BBC. Like if it has a garden in it and,
Yeah,
and a murder, like I am happy. Like I love true crime. So if it has
Yeah.
like, I love a British procedure. So if it has a murder in a garden
Right.
and an English accent,
Right.
I am all in. And that is like my, that is like my peaceful, happy place.
Yeah.
And I think everyone is discovering something new right now. And I think that's awesome.
I think you're right. There's certainly something going on. I know that there's a ton of podcast shows, whether it's just audio or video, but there's a lot, and people are kind of taking hold of them.
Yeah.
Like, I really like some of these things. They don't like all of it, of course.
Right.
But in fact, as you were saying before, there's really not some kind of show that deals with issues that affect us.
Right.
You know, if you look at the age group between 40 and hell, I don't know, 65, that is kind of like an open
Yes.
gap.
Yes.
But I'm hoping that this is going to fill that gap, and some of the
Absolutely.
other shows that we're trying to develop as well. But look, I'm not here to talk about all that right now. I'm here to talk about your stuff.
Okay.
And we're talking about Sci-Fi Generation podcast.
Right.
How long have you guys been doing this?
This is 3 years now.
And you've got
The podcast, not the podcast.
Yeah. This is our third year.
Is it? Oh, it's our third year.
We kind of just keep showing up.
How many shows have you had so far?
30 straight up episodes, and then we've done like some standalone shows here and there. So probably in total 35.
But you talk about some of the things that we've talked about tonight.
Oh yeah, we've talked about a lot of the stuff we've talked, even
Really?
down to like the Black Renaissance stuff. Like we've talked about a lot of that stuff on the
Yeah.
show. I think that when you see sci-fi and you hear sci-fi, there's traditionally been this association, right? Or it's just like people who are interested in a specific small box, right?
Right.
So aliens and UFOs and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That's generally what people think. But one of the reasons why the show and the site and the brand is Sci-Fi Generation is that we have people everywhere, right? And so there are people who are super passionate about science fiction that are in your IT department, right?
Yeah.
And so but there are also people in your marketing department and in your sales department
Yeah.
and in front of the camera and behind the camera, because it identifies a set of ideas, which is what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Identifying that set of ideas, a generation of people who want to move things forward.
Who are passing it down to their children.
Right.
So in the example that we gave earlier, like his mom passed it down to him.
Exactly.
I passed it down to my kids, and it keeps going. And so, like Star Wars, who knew it was going to span 3 generations like that?
I know.
Right?
I know.
And so that's the other aspect. That's like the sub aspect of Sci-Fi Generation too.
Yeah.
It's just like it's going to keep going. So what part are you going to join?
Yeah.
It's like join the generation.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, has it grown?
hashtag not Pepsi.
Well, did you have any expectations when you launched it?
I did. I don't think I was a big podcast person.
Yeah.
He was
Right.
not.
But you were a
So-
listener.
I was a listener of podcasts.
So now this is your own show.
Yes. So I went to him. So he had the website, and the website was just doing great, right? and social, like he did his thing, like social everything. And meanwhile, like I'm at work and I'm like listening to podcasts left and right. Like I am a podcast junkie. And so like if you don't get, like I seriously, like I listen to murder podcasts, mental health podcasts, mystery podcasts, Marvel podcasts, I listen to all the podcasts. And I said to him, we need to do a podcast. Well, it took him a while for it to really, rest in his spirit. And one day I was just like, I just got mics out and I was like, this is going to sound crappy, but let's just talk. Yeah. And I think from there, our first show was like 20,000.
At the end, it got 20,000 listeners.
At the end, it was 20,000
Really?
listeners, yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. And then by show 5 or 10, like we had advertisers like calling us like, hey, we see your traffic, that type of thing. And, what I decided was when we were listening to podcasts, I said, well, we had to have some type of format. Right. So our format is, in the beginning, we talk about, our warm up is talking about DJ mostly.
That is how
mom stuff, like mom stuff. He's our 15-year-old, so we talk about him. Stuff that I'm doing, stuff that he's doing, catching up with the audience. And then we go into pop culture, what we're watching. Yep. Like Discovery right now is a big topic for us because Star Trek Discovery is streaming right now, which I love. And hashtag like Mad Women in Command. I just wanted to point that out. So, like Mad Women in Command. And so I just wanted to
when you're right, you're right,
yeah,
right?
So,
like where would we be if we didn't, you know what I mean? If we didn't
that is
heed
true.
the lessons from Janeway.
Right. So we talk about pop culture and we talk about things, everything from like, so if something is trending on Twitter, like this show, we're going to talk about the polar vortex. And the science, the kids, people throwing the hot water. So that's science, right? So what we do is we talk about how science applies to our life. Yeah. And we talk about movies that we're streaming, not always science or science fiction. Right. And we talk about that. And then the next half of the show is our answer to media. And what we do in that section is we talk about the top 3
most popular articles on the website.
Right. The most popular articles on the website. Because the website is what we try to like make sure and we drive home to our listeners is that we have scientists that are aggregating their information on our website. Right. So our website isn't just us writing about like movie reviews or anything like that. Right. It's like we have scientists from all over the country, museums
all over the world.
All over the world, who contribute to the site. So of course Google Analytics tells us, week to week what's the top trending. And so we share that. And then we go into science news. And that was our response to, there are things that were going on that people didn't know about. You on any given day, you can hear me vent about anti-vaxxers or flat earthers. But more importantly, in that section, we talk about like the HPV virus, like how they upgraded that shot. We talk about
the
Henrietta Lacks story. We talk about SpaceX, and these are just topics that hit us, and we're like, oh, like that's really interesting. So outside of the 3 top topics, we're like, oh, okay, like these are 3 topics that if I had a news station, I would report this. Right, you know what I mean? I think if I find this interesting, someone else finds it interesting.
That's
if
true.
I find out that there's tons and tons and tons of pollution in the ocean and that there's a set of people who have gotten together to clean up the ocean, if I find that interesting, someone else finds it interesting. If I find it interesting that now we're turning plastic into sneakers, if I find that interesting, someone else is finding that interesting. And so we're not scientists. We just think that, these are things that, the everyday, Sally or Joe would like to know. We don't beat you over the head with it. We just say, this is something we found interesting. We think you might find it interesting. Now you can turn back to
I think that's awesome. I mean, it's information that you guys are curious about.
Right.
You dig a little about it and you kind of just talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. We're not teachers or anything like that. We don't claim to know the answers. We're just saying, we found this interesting. Here's where we found the information. If you find it interesting, you go ahead there and you dig.
And they do.
And they do.
Right.
Good. They
Good.
do. And so we enjoy it and it's fun,
Right.
And sometimes I'm drinking gin. You know,
Okay.
sometimes I'm drinking gin, or I make a little cocktail or something
Hey, it's
like
your
that
show.
to make it
Right.
make it a little fun.
And you're home.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and just and just because also science, people think of science as being so stuffy,
Right.
and it's all around us. Like
Yeah.
alcohol is science, right? It's a science. A beer is a science.
Everything is science related.
And
Right.
so it's just like just bringing that home, and hopefully there's a preteen or teen that is sneaking to listen to our show, because we curse a lot.
Right.
I curse a lot. You do not.
I don't, but I think that it works.
I do.
I
Yeah.
do too. Potty mouth.
That's more of the balance.
It
The yin and
is,
yang.
yeah, with you guys. Yeah, I agree.
When I do start cursing, something has gone horribly
man,
wrong.
Yes.
Something is amiss
Right.
because I will go off.
Right.
You'll get years of what I've reserved.
That's when Margo says, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I was going to ask you why sci-fi, but I think you kind of answered that.
Yeah.
So far, and oh, come on. So, is there any kind of what's the latest thing for sci-fi, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think that we're back into stories again, which is really, really nice instead of franchises.
Okay.
For a while it was just like there were Star Trek people and Star Wars people.
Right.
And that was it. And, those were the sci-fi people. Now I think people are into reading. And I think that they're into not just comics, but they're reading novels. They're reading like indie writers now.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of that became popular when The Martian, which became the movie with Matt Damon.
Right.
That was actually written by a guy who put the novel up online for free at first, and then he made it available for sale, and then the book got picked up by a publisher and they made a movie deal. This was a guy who was just super passionate about Mars, super geeky about Mars.
Right.
Wrote this story about what would happen if an astronaut got stuck on Mars, and
Excuse me.
it's a story that people have thought about. But he was the one that wrote it and put it out. So people are diving into indie writers like that. And I think just like we're seeing an Afro-futurist renaissance,
Right.
we're seeing a renaissance of people who are into stories again. I think viewerships for things like the Saturn Awards and really geeky sort of sci-fi award shows like that are up because, the Oscars are super important. But you want to know if your favorite book is also
Right.
connecting in other places. So the latest thing I think for sci-fi is that we're into stories more than franchises. We're into characters and how they relate to us in brand new ways, right? And so our weaknesses and our strengths and how we relate to these characters in new ways. So that's on that's on lots of different platforms.
Right.
Digitally, on paper, I think that the type of shows that you're starting to see come up in science fiction, Philip K. Dick's, that anthology on Amazon, Black Mirror. I think the more of those shows are showing that people are really into and I can't wait for Jordan Peele's
I was
Twilight
just about
Zone.
to say,
right?
Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone.
Really?
But also
He's
to
working on that
piggyback
now?
Yeah, it's going to be out this year.
This year. But also to piggyback on what you're saying, I think that this is a really good time for, like he said, indie artists and people who have been working in the genre for a really, really long time are finally starting to get their due and
Right.
to get noticed. Like when I say that, I'm thinking of Nnedi Okorafor, like who's been writing for well over,
Oh, wow.
I'm going to say 15 years. I'm going to say, 'cause I don't want her to be mad because I want to
So
say.
she's been writing a while.
She's
Right.
been writing a
Yeah.
while,
Yeah.
and she's getting noticed again.
Yeah.
Because I think because of Black Panther, she's written for Marvel, but that wasn't her first time writing, and she has like a whole anthology of books.
Oh, wow.
And I think
Wow.
that she is a child of the Octavia Butler genre.
Yeah.
And she's taken it and like you expect the younger generation to do when they're influenced to take it and just run
Right.
with it, and she's done that. And so there are other writers that I think that are finally getting more than what they've been plugging away
Yeah.
and now she's not a secret anymore.
Wow.
Now she's not somebody that I can say, hey, have you read? And they're like, oh yeah, I know her. So I think that that's also what's happening with sci-fi right now.
Right.
Like a lot of people more, and I think also one of the reasons why our podcast does so well is because now it's not this geeky
Right.
thing anymore. Like he said, like so many people love science and science fiction.
Yeah, we are
and
way out
people
of the
are
closet
coming,
at
people
this
like
point.
me, people like me are coming out of denial.
Right. Right.
You know, they're like, no, this is what we enjoy and this is what we like. So,
Wow.
yeah.
What's some of the movies that are coming out in 19 that are high on your list?
For me, it's anything Jordan Peele right now.
Okay.
Us is gonna be huge.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
anything Jordan Peele right now. Like for me, I'm just, I'm just geeking out on his stuff.
But
Yeah.
for traditional sci-fi, I would say I'm super excited about the new Godzilla movie, King of the Monsters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got to
okay.
go see that just because my mom would haunt me if I didn't.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah, I got to go see that.
And,
Told you to go see that. Right.
Exactly, right? I'll be like, all
Someone's
right,
gonna start
mom,
moving.
I'm going. All right. I hear you.
And I think Captain Marvel is going to surprise people.
You think so?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Captain Marvel is going to surprise people. I'm seeing.
They've had that under wraps, though.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to pleasantly surprise people.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
That's the stuff we're looking forward
Wow. So, kids into sci-fi, not necessarily your kids, but kids in general. Do you see I guess, a push to get kids into sci-fi?
to. Oh,
I mean, I know sometimes they
Yeah.
automatically like it, but
yeah.
beyond the like,
I think, I'm sorry. I think kids are, I love kids. They're my passion. And I think that this, he's like, he knows I'm about to go off. I think that children are already there.
Right.
I think that Gen Z, which is where my son is, and younger, I think they're going to grow up in a space that, all this stuff that we're talking about is going to be part of who they are
Yeah.
and
Right.
what they do. I mean, when you look at what the younger generation is doing just with technology on things like on platforms like TikTok and
Yeah.
Musically and Instagram and what they're doing with the stories, and it's a level of creativity and with tools that we never had.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think that they're heir to this dissipation of, you're not a geek if
Right.
you like Star Wars. You're
Yep.
not a geek if you are a designer. I think that for our young people, creativity is going to be a really big thing. The issue is getting the parents on board with that,
That is
right?
true. Yeah, that's true.
Because parents still believe that there is no money to be had in creativity.
Right, right,
Parents
right.
still believe that there is no money, like I always say, this is like my go-to line. I'm like, you just spent $50 with your family to see Black Panther. Black people worked on that film.
Yeah,
Black people have
yeah.
been working on films. Black people have been stage, sound and costuming. When we look at
Right.
Ruth Carter and Gersha Phillips.
and there is room,
Yeah.
and so you have to let your kids be creative,
Right.
and we have to get rid of the message of there is no money in
I know.
creativity.
Yeah.
You may not be Rockefeller, but who is? Like a lot of people aren't.
Right.
So we're talking about creating comfortable lives in being creative. And I think this new generation, oh my gosh, like they're gonna find a way, and it's gonna be wonderful to watch.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
definitely. I think
Wonderful.
the military had an opportunity in 2008 to talk to kids like, you can be in the Air Force,
Right.
and you can do a whole lot of stuff,
Yeah.
and you can really kind of bring the world really deep into the 21st century. And I think that Disney and Marvel came in, showed kids Tony Stark,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and now 10 years later, good luck catching
Right.
those kids.
That-
Like
Right.
they're already
Exactly
there,
right.
Yeah.
like they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that was an opportunity that was not only lost by, and I take the Air Force out of context, but it's a huge example. But I think the educational system is going to have to catch up with kids who are living out Ender's Game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like right now, who are just living it, who are just like,
I agree.
have never not known tablets
Imagine that.
Yeah.
and not known to be able to create on them. Like,
And so many people our age are still talking about these dang on phones. The kids have their heads down in their phones. And I'm just like, y'all, like that was, Facebook is the devil. Y'all do realize Facebook is like over 10 years old, right? Like
15
this
years
is,
old.
This
Yeah.
is not new media anymore. This
Exactly.
is not new.
Right.
This is it.
Yep.
This is what we are doing. These kids are in it. This isn't new. So,
true.
kids laugh at us because we watch the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my son and his
What are we
friends.
doing?
Yeah, my friends, like my son and his friends, like they watch YouTube. Like
And
they're on
Twitch.
YouTube and Twitch.
Right.
They are not
Caffeine.
watching TV.
Yeah.
We have to twist our son's arm he disappointed me so much. I'm speaking to you, baby. Like he disappointed me so much. I'm still getting
You knew
over
this was
it
coming.
because he watched The Godfather without us
All three.
on Netflix.
All three.
Really?
On his own.
You don't understand. I was devastated.
So it wasn't a family night?
No.
It was not family night.
No, it's just what he was doing in his downtime. It's like, okay, I'm finished
So
studying. Let me
don't-
finish
so you
watching
think
The
your kids-
Godfather.
You think your kids are doing a lot of crap
That's a
on
big
these
deal.
phones. It's a huge deal. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm still steaming about it.
Right.
My baby watched all the movies without me.
All three of them.
All three.
Wow.
But here's the deal. The fact is that we think that they're not doing anything and they're gathering, they're getting this information. And afterwards, when I had a mental breakdown, I let him know that he totally hurt my feelings by watching all three of them by himself. That, we had a great conversation about, the whole, movie.
Yeah.
And he gave, again, if you talk to your kids, like he gave great context on Michael, And I was like, that's true. I hadn't thought of it that way. And he's just like, Michael, man, he was, such a narcissist. And he just went on and on about Michael, and he's, and he talked about Sonny. He just talked about all the character development, but he loved it. And so I just feel like, again, pick the brains of these kids. When Beyonce came out with, what was it? When she was standing on top of the cop car? Which one? Which video was that?
They're about to kick you out.
I know.
Beehive's about
the
to kick you
Beehive.
out.
I know. I'm sorry, y'all.
Because you're asking me about a lemonade,
I
a
know.
segment of lemonade.
That wasn't Lemonade though. That was the one before, I think. But anyway, so she's standing on top of the car. Car's drowning, and DJ's just like, I think I would have done that differently. I'm like, how? You don't have, like, I'm like, oh, that's so good. It's so, so rebellious.
Yeah.
And he gave like this whole context as to why he would have framed the scene completely differently. And I'm like, you are your father's child.
Right.
Like you are your father's child. And so it's just like, these kids are seeing things so differently.
Right.
Than we are.
Yeah.
And we have to stop beating them up and saying, back in my day, like our parents did us and our grandparents did them. It's just like, no, these are some amazing, innovative kids, man. And we've got to listen to them.
Mm-hmm. You got to stop holding them back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
out of the way. Yeah.
Wow. Stop being dream killers.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Follow them. It's okay to follow them.
You think
every
these
now and
two
again.
are related?
Yes.
STEM and sci-fi?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
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 You've got it backwards.
Okay. Okay.
One leads to the other.
Right. I agree with that.
I've met people at NASA and talked to them, and when you talk to them and you ask like that's a serious sort of line of work to get into, right? Like you work. Like I met a dude that's still Willie Johnson, I think, works at NASA, and he was literally still working 10, 15 years ago on the Apollo program, right? Like wrapping up the data and stuff like that,
Really?
right? So you walk around the office and you talk to people, just like, yo, what are you doing here? By the way, a bunch of black and brown people,
Huh.
right?
Okay.
So you go around, you talk to these people, like, how did you get here?
Right. Exactly.
Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek. I saw Empire Strikes Back and was just
Yes.
like, the Millennium Falcon looks like some shit I want to build. and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, you talk to these people,
Wow.
and that led to their having a STEM career.
Yeah.
That's
that was
how
their pathway.
And
Yeah.
that's why Black Panther was important.
Yes.
Right? Because it showed in the Marvel Universe, Geek Hat.
Right.
I literally have a Marvel. I can put anyway. Shuri is the smartest person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
yeah.
Right.
Right?
Right.
T'Challa's sister.
Yeah.
Right? How do we know this? Right? Am I just saying that because, well, you're black? You're going to feel like no. Banner and Stark
Exactly.
are in front of Vision.
Yep.
And she's like, well, why would you wire it this way?
Right. Exactly. I remember that.
And he's
yeah.
like, because we didn't think of another way to write. Because you
And
guys
she's like,
were
move out of my way.
right.
And plus, you're a colonizer.
Right, exactly. Colonizer. Move out of my way, colonizer.
It inspires you to see someone that looks like you, sounds like you,
Yeah.
looks like you, and doesn't sound like you, right? Because remember, we're Americans, right? So Africans are somebody else, right? That ain't us. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be the deal.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and you look at Shuri and you look at the Dora Milaje and you look at, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
other scientists that
Yeah.
worked in the lab, it's like, so hold up. hold up. So this looks cool.
Yeah.
Sci-fi really works when it makes a difficult thing look cool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Men in Black, the Men in Black are terrifying. The Men in Black are not, it's not comedy.
1 second. I'm sorry. I'm going to back up one second.
Yeah.
To say that with Shuri, never again will a teacher be able to look at a little black girl
Right.
Yeah.
and say, like they did to me, you should not do that.
Right.
Like that's not something that you can do.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
don't
yeah.
you do this?
Yep.
And
that's
more
why she's so
effectively, I
important.
think,
And that
than
whole
Hidden
thing
Figures.
is so important, right?
Yeah.
Hidden Figures, like all these movies are so important.
Yeah,
because now, a black girl can go home, turn on Netflix or whatever, and like my mom was busy. She was a mom. She was working. She didn't know this teacher said this to me. My mom. I tell people all the time, it's the school's important, right? Because my mom was saying you could do whatever you want to do, right? But then you have everything on TV is a man, right? And at that time,
Yeah.
in those positions, right? And then you go to school and someone's saying that's not really realistic,
Right.
and then you're like, I guess that's true,
Yeah.
like it might not be realistic,
Yeah.
and so. Yeah, so she's hella important. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
that's
sure.
why that's important, because for girls in STEM, we know that there's a huge deficit
Yeah.
of women in STEM.
Sure.
And there's a lot of unpacking to do as in terms of the reason why. There are women who go into it, but then they fall out or they get
Right.
erased. Their
Right.
work gets erased,
Right.
or the conditions are not set for them to be able to have children and come back into their into their
Right.
jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of it's support related.
Right,
Exactly.
support related. Women do not get funding at the same for research at the same rate that men do.
Right.
And so those odds we know will get lower for black women.
Right.
So that's why sci-fi and STEM and having all these women of different, just all women of POC and just different representation is so important, because like you said, sci-fi leads to STEM. And so now we're normalizing women in that space. And, in 20, 30 years, maybe not that long, hopefully, but there are women who will be able to get in there and stay.
But it's funny, one of the things I've noticed over the last several years or so is that there's a lot of truths coming out about us
Yes.
that we didn't know previously.
You mean?
And it could be a number. I mean, anything.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they're going to have to do is really rewrite history,
Or unwrite history.
or unwrite. Right.
Because if you're talking about truths, right? Like, it's just like,
Oh, I understand.
Right.
that.
I'm
You know,
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's really stuff that was just like, wait, doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, no, we were totally here. What?
Yeah, like Hidden Figures is
Exactly.
telling the truth.
That's right.
Harry and the Lax,
Yep.
that's telling the truth.
Yeah.
That's digging it up and being like, wait a minute.
We've been a part of
yeah.
this research all along.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the kind of thing. There are shows like, well, now it's canceled, but there was a show called Timeless on NBC that was about like people who travel through time, and and each
Yep.
episode was on. It was about. On the surface, it was like this geeky sci-fi show, but each episode they will be at a period in history. And the interesting thing about Timeless is they had a black dude who was like first of all, the
I
whole
remember
program
that.
was designed by a black dude, and then there was a brother on the actual lifeboat
Yep.
who was the only guy who could figure it out. But they had to bring him to like the early '60s, so it was like, okay, or they had to bring him back to slavery.
Right.
And it was like, okay, so I'm not going to be super popular at this point. So here's where
I remember seeing
Here's
one of
where
those
I can help,
episodes.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you show it in its context, like they showed the context where it's like, this is the guy that inspired the story of the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger was black. Those kinds
Exactly.
of things are important because
Yeah.
we grow up thinking, cowboys.
Right.
That's true.
That ain't got nothing to do with us. It had everything to do with us.
Everything to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was us.
Yeah.
It wasn't no white people going to do all that and sleep like that and
Right.
live like that with horses. That was us. So
That's true.
So that representation on screen pulls you like it pulled me, like it pulled her, like it pulls you, like
Yeah.
it pulls everybody into believing that you can be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what keeps us
And
going.
make an impact.
For sure.
And to make an impact.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. What's next? Nothing?
More wine? Is that next?
Yeah, well, we're going to need more wine since we're talking about political climate.
Oh, yes. How about
Yeah.
that? It's just like old times.
Wow. It's been an hour and 20 minutes already.
Yeah. We have time to talk about the.
I'm gonna quickly go through this because I don't want to keep you guys.
Oh, no, we're
keeping
good.
us?
Let me get the short version of political climate answers.
Yeah. It'll be quick.
I'm just gonna bring these up. Real
Cory Booker announced that he's running.
There you go.
But let me ask you this:
Yeah, let's
Are
start.
we getting inundated with the political Democratic folks running for office? President. Right now it's up to what, 12 or something?
Is it officially 12? It's a bunch of
12?
people.
I'm not sure. They had him today on The View. He was, Cory Booker was on there. And
Yeah.
He mentioned the number, but I wasn't sure. I think it's 12 sounds about right.
I think
That's
we're
a lot
going
of
to top
people.
off at 21.
Wow.
Yeah, my guess is 21 before
Damn.
folks start dropping off.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually.
The turning point.
Right.
Yeah. I actually think that it's a good thing.
Do you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. I do. I think that is what the political process is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we shoot ourselves in the foot by narrowing only. I believe that there should be more than a two-party system.
I agree with
I
that.
believe that we should definitely have a lot of choices. I think my concern is that when we get to the decision-making space,
Right.
and the DNC chooses candidate A,
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs to shut up and get behind candidate A.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care if you like candidate A or not.
Right.
I don't.
Right. You can like
this
C,
isn't
but
about-
listen,
yeah,
we're
this
not
isn't
going with
about-
C.
yeah,
But what
and I
about
think that
candidate
that's-
A's dating history?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
concerned about something from 30
Right,
years ago?
Right, exactly. So I just feel like, I think that is where, if I had one critique about them young people from that last election, it was that.
Yeah.
I did not like that, we did not. There was a lot of things that went wrong.
Sure,
a lot of
sure,
things.
yeah.
A lot of things.
was a
But I think
perfect
that
storm.
one of the things, it was a great
It
storm.
really
But I
was.
think that one of the things that we could learn, and when I say we, I don't, I'm independent, so I'm not registered. Yeah, I'm not registered Democrat. Like, I have voted Republican in my lifetime,
Sure,
yeah.
many times.
Yeah.
And so, and I've voted Democrat more than many times.
Right.
But I have voted my interest as a black woman,
Exactly.
and also my interest for my community. And so I think that whoever is going to grab that Democratic nomination, we need to get behind.
Right,
And
right.
your feelings don't matter. What I am looking for in a candidate right now, I like Kamala Harris.
Sure.
Like, I like her.
Yeah.
Her and I have the same last name. My maiden name is Harris, so I like her.
Okay.
That's a real blonde. I didn't no disrespect to blonde.
You were about to double
I was
down.
about to- but no, that's not
And
the
piss
most
off the blondes.
Yeah,
You were
sorry.
about to-
I love you, blondes. Blondes have more fun, but no, that's not the most intelligent reason right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
realize
yeah.
that. I do have my reasons why I like her that are a lot more heady. But right now, I like her. However, I am going to back the person that I see can stand up to the particular psychosis that this president has.
Right.
And he has a very particular psychosis.
Oh yeah.
And we cannot take him as a joke anymore, clearly.
Right.
But I watched him pick off his running mates, one by one.
He did. Yeah.
And I need to see who can stand up to him and not, think that it's cute, which is one of
Right.
the reasons why I'm not putting I'm definitely going to vote woman, like,
Right.
if I can,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
going to be woman. But that's why I'm not like rah with Elizabeth Warren right now, because I feel like she got into the muck and the mire with him.
Right.
And you can't do that with that psychosis.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
can't.
yeah.
I think that what's working for Kamala in my mind right now is the fact that she has experience dealing with people with that psychosis as a prosecuting attorney.
Right.
So I think when you come up against, I'm going to use the word criminals very loosely.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you've come up with criminals that I'm sure she has in her career,
Mm-hmm.
that is my opinion right now. That is completely open to change.
Yeah.
Comment that
Yeah.
he thinks that she's the one to fear.
Really?
Oh really?
Yeah. I think.
Ask him, who did he think out of all the ones
And who was saying this?
the guy in the White House?
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy.
That guy.
Well,
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Biff.
Agent Orange.
She
Right.
right now seems to be the one that
Okay.
Yeah.
she could draw that many people,
Yes.
intimidate them.
Without
Yes.
paying them.
Right. So I think that that is subject to change for me because
Right.
I also have my eye on Julian Castro. I like him, so I have my mind on that, my eye on that. So
Right.
that's where I am. But I do think that there should be many more. I think because it teaches people to listen.
And it teaches people about choice.
Choice. That's
Right.
exactly right.
So let's look at everybody, see what they're talking about, and just kind of make a choice after that, and,
Right.
and just stick with it and go from there.
Right.
Here's the bottom line too. I think you could have everybody lined up and do this, okay, and it's going to be 1,000 times better than what the hell we got right
True.
now.
Correct.
True.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
you can choose the right person,
Yeah.
right? And bring in, because I think that one of the things that I'm looking for in a candidate is somebody to reach the people who are not voting right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that a lot of the arguments that are going on, like especially in like the cable news cycle, are about people who are on this set of talking points that
Right.
we already know because we've been following elections all these years.
Sure. Yeah.
But there are people who see that and they're like, I don't want to be involved with that. There's a bunch of people yelling, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I got to go to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But also, I think that it's important that we don't make this election completely anti-45.
Right.
Like we cannot.
And I agree with that.
We
'Cause at that point,
cannot-
you're going down the same rabbit hole.
Yeah, and you can't center him.
Right,
I
no.
think that the biggest mistake we could do is center. We need to center the platform.
Right.
We need to center what each person's talking points. I think
Mm-hmm.
that I do believe that there is an overall message. I think there's an overall message of healthcare and, healthcare and college debt. And I do think that that's an overall message.
Yeah, for
now
sure.
it's just to see how each person wants to execute those plans.
Mm-hmm.
So.
To a bunch of new ones now.
I think you need to come into the show.
He's not doing it.
That's just me.
Good try.
They seem to kind of got that from the takeaway from the last election. So even listening to Cory Booker or the others, they're trying to, they realize what they did.
You can probably hear my wife talking, but
She's
she
so
refuses
pretty. I
to get
know.
on
Maybe next time
in
we
front
can
of the camera.
convince her. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to talking to the audience there, but it is what it is.
So
Let's
smart.
just try to go down the list here real
Yeah.
quick, guys.
Yeah.
So, do we live in a big town or a small city? Charlotte, that is.
Big town.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
I've been saying
big
that for a
town.
long time.
Big
A
town.
lot of people like to call it metropolitan city. I'm like, no.
No, we got some work to do.
A lot of work to
Oh,
do. We don't even have diverse clubs to go to.
no. No.
We don't even have like diverse clubs. Like
No.
there's not even a club that that's like diverse.
That
yeah.
grown people can go to.
That
Listen.
grown, but not only just that grown people could go to, but like that there's no club where it's like black and white kids around the age of
Right.
25 and 35, right? Because I'm not even talking about my age,
Sure.
right? Because I'll give a house party. I'm fine with that.
Right.
But for the kids, there's really no place for them to like. There's not like the club, like that club where everybody goes,
Yeah.
where the DJ's on fire,
Yeah.
and all the kids are talking about you got to go to Club X, man, Club
Yeah.
X. There's not
no,
even,
there's
there's
nothing.
not even that.
No. But and
Yeah.
unfortunately,
so
that's
you can't
why
be a city without a good club.
No, you're right.
That's
You're
true.
right. But that's why you end up going in your cases back to New York.
Yeah.
So you can feel that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Charlotte is not there yet. And the Charlotte Metro is not there yet. There's a ton of work to be done. Oh my
Right.
God, there's a ton of work to be
Yeah.
done. So I'm guessing in about 20 years, I'm just saying 20,
No, I would agree. Yeah, no, yeah.
it might be there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Charlotte's still a young city.
Yeah.
Young town.
Young town, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work to do. I mean, it's always been hopeful, but they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So let's skip this Charlotte growth thing. I think we're all kind of on the same page with that. But
Yeah.
favorite restaurant, you got one?
Yeah. Well, no, we got two. I would say that we can't just pick one.
Okay.
Depends on right. It depends
Well, it
on
depends on what we're doing and what we want.
Right.
and how early we get up.
Right, which for me is about noon.
Okay.
So like in Plaza Midwood, I'm a big fan of Sammy's, man.
Yeah, we love Sammy's.
Sammy's.
We
You
love
guys know
Sammy's.
about Sammy's?
So just to give you context,
Oh, so
we
you guys are like pinkies up type folks?
No.
You like,
So to give you context, people look at us. People
y'all
look
are
at us
like
and they think,
super fancy.
Yeah, people. Yeah, people look at us and they think.
Okay,
we like
so
super,
okay,
yeah,
so
we
Soul
like-
Gastro
we like-
Lounge
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
But let's keep it real with that size of that plate.
I know.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I agree.
Small place.
Right.
So people think we like
So
fancy things,
right.
and we actually like dives. Like I like a good bar. I like
Yeah,
good
yeah.
bar food.
Right.
So, Sammy's is a place here in Charlotte that's
Right.
in Plaza Midwood that's been there for you can smell the grease on
Where-
in the
where-
walls
where-
when you walk in.
where's-
You know it. You see it all
Yeah,
the time.
I'm sure.
You may have gone in. They serve you on paper styrofoam plates and
Oh,
plastic
yeah,
cups.
I'm loving that shit already.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could get fish and all kinds. Like you can get. I love going there on a Saturday because I sleep late, so you got to be there before 3. So you got to get up, get there.
Right,
So
right.
like 12, 1 o'clock, you can get like fish and grits. You can get like sandwiches. It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, they close
Wow.
at 3
We close at 3.
On Saturday or every day?
every day.
Every
Close
day
at
they close
3.
at 3. So you
Right,
got to
right.
get there, and it's like down home.
But you had a bad experience.
Uh-oh. It was like a fight, or what do you mean bad experience?
Yeah, remember the waiter.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
they not. Yeah,
If there was a waiter, this wasn't the place.
No, it's not.
yeah. It ain't no waiter there.
No.
Yeah, and they ain't gonna. It's not. You're not getting. It's a down home.
What street is it on?
What is it? So it's across from Seoul.
It's across from the Pelican's Rabbit, right across the street.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know
Sammy's.
You had it's a
You didn't like it.
because it's a diner.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
diner.
Yeah, remember that? You're like, I am never freaking going back to this.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, yeah, I did because they weren't. Listen, the lady didn't treat you right. I mean, I agree with that. But
Okay.
The lady with the glasses?
I don't know.
No, she was young.
Oh,
yeah,
so
young girl.
Yeah,
They
they
whenever
brought
we
their
go,
cousin in.
yeah,
That's
they
not the
did
way to
that.
do it. Come on, y'all. You
Yeah.
got to represent. You can't.
Right.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about
Right,
now.
yeah,
So we
exactly.
like
That's
going there
what's
for like our brunch.
Right.
I
But
bring a little flask to add, whatever. And then get a little juice. And we like Cuzzo's right now.
Yeah, Cuzzo's
Like that's a
is
good
up.
brunch. Yeah, Cuzzo's, they have like a
Is that in the same?
no.
Okay.
No, that's on Cuzzo's is on is that Beatty's Ford Road?
Yeah, I think so.
And so they
He
have a
used to have a
brunch.
food truck.
He used to have a food truck.
And now he
there's
has a
brunch.
restaurant,
Yeah.
an actual place we can go in. You got to
So
get a
it's
ticket.
Beatty's Ford and what?
Oh,
no,
man.
we
So
don't know.
we got to follow up with
We
you on
just go
that.
Google Maps.
Okay.
We just
Search your map history.
I mean, is
see
it
if you
near
can-
85 kind of Beatty's Ford
Oh
Road?
yeah. It's like a few minutes from. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's right
it's really
there.
good. Like, but we like dives, so it's similar.
Right.
It's similar to Cuzzo's. So
Right,
it's-
right.
But that's black owned. Yes, Tuskegee. Yes, that's what it is. That's
You
what
got
it is.
it.
Oh,
Thank
Tuskegee?
you.
Okay.
Yeah, so we gave you the wrong area. So yeah,
That's the
and we
best
like
brunch.
it's a good brunch.
Yeah.
It's a really good brunch.
That's what's up. You got to get your
They-
ticket
they
outside. You pay in
rotate.
advance.
Yeah,
you
it's
come
real-
inside.
I think.
It's
yeah.
hood in the loveliest of ways.
Yeah. yes.
Hood in the loveliest of ways. And it's a great after church crowd that comes in. People
Right.
smile. It gives you a feeling of like you're at your auntie's party, but
Yeah.
not really. It's kind of cool.
Yep.
$15 to eat in, or you can eat $20 for. I don't work there. I'm not plugging them or anything, but it's just
Right.
like I like.
Well,
we
if
like
it's
going
good,
to-
it's good.
It's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
since you asked, it's good. But then when we want to get fancy, like we go to like more to nicer places.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
love, like I love Del Fresco's. Like that's our anniversary place.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like I love Del Fresco's. They have a great, deal on Sundays. You take advantage of their deals on Sundays?
You got to get in. there.
We've been there, but I don't think on Sundays.
Yeah, you got to sign up on their emails. You get good
Oh,
deals. Yeah, you get like a $59 like yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So you can
damn.
do that.
That is
yeah,
good.
yeah. Let's see. Is there any place else that we like to go? We just found a good barbecue place that we didn't know was good.
Jim
It's
and
a-
Nick's.
Yeah, it's a franchise.
Jim and Nick's is great.
I didn't know.
It's in
Is that on
South
South
Carolina.
Boulevard? Oh,
no,
South
it's in
Carolina.
South Carolina. So it's 521 really. So you just stay on 521. As soon as you cross the Indian land,
Right.
it's
in.
in like that
Oh, yeah,
near Edgewater.
I know what you're talking
But I
about.
see your next thing is about drinks, and I'll tell you this.
What's that?
I'm about to drink. Hashtag no alcohol. But have you guys been to ... yet?
Nope.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
it's
what's
the
up.
speakeasy. You got to. Oh, you're gonna go with us. You
Okay.
gotta go. It's a beautiful it's a speakeasy. You can sit there. We can sit here and have this talk for
Right.
like hours. It's a membership. Because it's what I like about it is that it is in the tradition of an old speakeasy.
Right,
So you
right.
have to have a membership. It's a inconspicuous door. You got to find
it is
it.
on sign.
Oh,
It's on
really?
Park Road. Yeah, and people try to dress nice there. So like it's not like people are coming in like too many.
Does it have booths that you
It has
sit
booths. You can sit in the
in?
booth.
And it's got tables in the center.
Yeah, have you
Yeah.
been there? You got to
I
pass a
have.
brick wall.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the drinks are
The little
good.
Yeah.
velvet
You
curtain.
would you
I
would
had a
like,
cigar there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that what's that the box?
I was pissed
What was
off that
that
night.
box?
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't like it?
No.
I was gonna say you're hard to please.
No.
It's like we're striking out. Like 3 things we've suggested. You guys have been like, oh no, we went there.
No.
we hated
I
it.
like all of them.
All right.
Yeah,
What
I'm
was
good.
that smoke box?
Oh, it was oh man,
That was really good.
That was good. I forgot what it's called, but it's a smoke box. It's show business. It's a wood box. They come out, it opens up, it's smoke, and then your drink comes out.
And
Really?
and we live close to the Ballantine Hotel.
Right.
So in the
gallery's
middle
great.
of the night, we go over to their bar.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like they make a great Manhattan. Oh my God, Jesus, it's so good. Yeah.
See, she's fancy.
Thank you. They
Right.
make a good.
That's
Manhattan.
fancy.
Yeah, I can tell I can't compete with her.
Oh boy.
Yeah, she's my come up. I can tell that right now.
That's
She
hashtag
was
goals.
like Sammy's. Oh no, darling.
Right.
Oh, I've been there once, dear. Never again. And she's just like, no.
We have something we can tell you about. This
Oh
is,
my God, that's freaking hilarious.
crab pot. Have you tried that?
Oh
Where?
yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
The what?
It's called the crab pot, right?
Mr. 3
Oh, Mr.
crab pot.
Three's crab pot.
No, I
Or
haven't been there.
C's. It's Three's.
Mr. 3.
Okay.
Check it out.
I'm with
that
that.
sounds familiar.
Check this out.
Yeah.
That sounds
It
like
is.
my
It
kind of
is a hole in the wall,
Yeah.
and they have this crazy, great, really good, really good seafood. Crab. I mean, all kinds.
Really?
Okay.
That sounds.
And-
Is that in the university area? Or no?
Is one in
No,
Okay.
Is it Beatty's Ford?
it's off of Beatty's Ford
Okay.
Road. I can't think
Okay.
of the, but it's in the cut.
Oh,
It's
wow.
in the
Okay.
cut
That's
for
what's
real.
up. That's what's up.
You go there, you pick your food up, and then you leave.
Yeah.
There's no place to sit down. None of that.
Okay. I like that.
Here in Gastonia where you can sit down.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is one, but it's off the
So
chain
good.
though.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be sucking on your fingers and shit.
Oh,
It's-
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
And you
good.
get to
Good
take it
stuff.
home.
Yeah, that's what we do most of the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Grab and go. Okay.
Yeah. The one in Gastonia. Okay, cool. What else you
But
got?
that one's really
What
good.
other good places?
Shit, I don't know.
Too bougie after that.
That's your favorite? What's your fancy place?
I don't. I just go with her.
What's your fancy place? What do you like?
Fancy place. I don't know. We went to, well, I love Del Frisco's.
Yeah.
You know, you can really go there.
Capitol Grill.
Capital Girls.
You know, I have not been to Capitol Girl.
Yeah.
We keep making plans to go, and then something comes up, and then I don't.
I had a meeting
You've
in
been
there.
there. You've
Yeah.
been there.
Right. Right.
That's one thing I do love about this town.
Try one. I just saw it was interesting. Halcyon? Oh,
Halcyon.
Halcyon.
How is that? Did you try that?
No, we're going to do that for his birthday.
Okay, I did read
your
that
birthday's
was
in
really,
March, too.
really
I didn't know
good.
that.
I did read
Oh
that.
no, February 16th.
February 16th. Okay. You're. What's your sign? You're not a Pisces.
That's near.
No, Aquarius. I'm right on the
Aquarius.
cusp.
Right on the cusp. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember that
Right.
yours was near
Okay.
mine. I think because mine was March 1st.
Oh well, yeah,
Try
yeah.
anything is good. I don't care if it's a hole in the wall or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
You'll give it a shot. You will. You will.
Just gotta be good.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm a foodie.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
I'm
So
not
you're
a
the real
foodie.
deal. So you would like dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have really nice. They have their small plates are done by like a really good chef.
Yeah.
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 And then the other fancy place I like is not in Charlotte, unfortunately. It's in
Yeah.
it's in Asheville, and yeah.
We love Asheville.
Yeah.
Asheville's what's up.
Yeah.
It is,
love
man.
Asheville. It's the
It
best.
is. Listen. I turned her on to Asheville. One of the first time she came down, we went there. They having some huge festival. The name of the festival was like that freaking long. I can't think of the name of it.
Was it the fall festival?
It was Labor Day weekend.
It was.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, it might have been. Yeah. Yeah.
But I've known about Asheville for like all my
Yeah,
life. But I
yeah.
love Asheville, man.
Yeah, the food.
the
is,
vibe, the
yeah,
food.
it is
it's amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of what Asheville has is what Charlotte doesn't.
Exactly.
It's like that balance is
Yep.
what takes us from being like that
Yeah.
town to
That's so
city
true.
thing. We got to get more
It's
of
the
that.
artists. It's that they don't.
Right.
Charlotte.
Well, they
for
tear
whatever
everything
reason,
down and build new.
They do, and for whatever reason, Charlotte does not feed the artists.
Right.
So I think that you cannot have a vibrant city like a New York or a Asheville or
Yeah.
a Portland you give any town that has a big name that people love to visit, you cannot have that town without feeding your artists.
No, you're absolutely right about
So
that.
you-
Absolutely.
Family who's trying to change that.
Who?
Awesome.
Janelle,
Right.
she's from New York originally.
Okay.
She's built some
You know something? I'm not going to have you continue to talk over there. You need to come over here.
We got to transcribe it for when
yeah,
you
exactly.
when the-
For anybody that's viewing the show, I apologize for that. But she
She'll
will
be
not.
our mystery. She'll be our mystery guest.
Something,
Oh, we'll
yeah.
just bring all this to ... and then
Exactly,
we'll do a show
yeah.
from there.
But no, I think that's what's missing. Like they don't support the artist. And
No,
you
I agree.
cannot have a fun city without supporting the
Right.
artist.
Yeah.
Like the artist has to be fed. Like
Yeah.
you have to, and when I say fed, I mean you have to push for giving the money.
Mm-hmm.
You have to push the money into the community for small businesses.
Right.
You have to put the marketing engine behind it and fund that.
Yep.
And so this town does not believe in the artist. They live and die at the banking.
Yeah.
And that's not a healthy plan.
You know, it's funny
can't,
because I'm
you
not
know.
sure if you heard this on the show last night or not, but Trey was talking about his show, his
film festival.
film festival was going to be somewhere, and I think Waco.
Yes, I remember.
He had it at the Wells
Yes,
Fargo
yeah.
and
last year.
Now they're saying, well, now we don't really want you here no more. That's ultimately what they said.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
really?
Right.
That's
Right.
so hey, they're not feeding the artists
Right.
by any stretch
Right.
of the
Well,
imagination.
Yeah.
It's definitely on the come up with
yeah,
Yeah.
they are. I think that the triangle is doing a great job.
Yeah,
of
they are.
supporting it,
How
and
do
they
you
balanced it.
have a culinary school and you are not known for up and coming culinary arts?
Yeah.
Like that is a big fail on behalf of the marketing and the money in this town.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no reason why you have a culinary school and people are not coming from at least a 100-mile radius
Right,
to visit
right,
at
right.
least 5 different restaurants
There you
in
go.
the area. Like you have to go to restaurant A. Or
Yeah.
You have to go to you know it's a long wait. It's it's whatever.
Yeah, we don't have
but
that.
we don't have
No,
one
not
restaurant.
like that.
No, we don't have a restaurant here where it's just like you gotta come and go. Why?
Right.
Because there's a culinary school up the block. Why? Because these kids or these students are going to Asheville. They're going to Durham.
right.
They're going to
Exactly.
different cities that
Yeah.
that they can get the jobs
Yep.
that they need. And so, I can't begin to tell you how many times we've had meetings and people will say, I heard Trey say last night that there aren't, they could not find staff
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
the
when he said they
for-
couldn't crew the show
they
anymore.
couldn't crew the show.
Exactly.
I have heard people say they can't find tech talent.
Yep.
I have heard people say they can't do that.
Yeah.
Like the talent, like you have to build your talent. And even the banking center
Yeah.
recruits the talent from out of town.
That's exactly right.
Amazon. That's a big reason why they didn't choose them.
The talent isn't
Yeah.
here. Yeah. And so it makes you question, what are the schools doing? Well, the schools
Well,
are educating the kids and the students are leaving.
Liaison in the mayor's office. Need somebody who's committed in the mayor's office.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, well, they also need to think about the messaging that's going out, right? Like there's still this messaging that's going out that's saying that Charlotte's known for banking.
Yeah.
Everyone's about to arrive here in about 2 weeks. Thousands of people are about to arrive here for NBA All-Star Weekend. They're going to stay at the hotels near the Spectrum Center. They're going to go inside the Spectrum Center. They're
Yep.
going to go to Fahrenheit. They're going to go to
you go.
maybe on the Wild Edge. They'll go to King's Kitchen.
Right.
Then they're going to get back on the planes and they're going to go home. And I don't know many people. Like I like Braxton and I like the people who are on the city council and Smuggy's great. I know he's going to be on your show
next
this month
week,
as well. And they're doing what they can, but they're dropping the ball on the most important thing.
Yes, they are.
It's like, what is this town?
Yeah.
What is this town? When people meet us, like the thing that surprises people the most
Right.
is not that we're a black couple that talks about science fiction, is that we're in Charlotte.
Right. Right.
They're like, what y'all doing there?
Right. It's
Right.
like, how the hell did you people end up? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's not because we're from New York that people are surprised. It's like,
like
oh,
raising-
Charlotte.
we're like raising
Charlotte
a child.
encourages
Right.
that.
Right.
And it's like it's something that people have to like. We've got to push past it. Like being known for the place to work is not great. You want to be known as a place to live.
Exactly.
And to do that, you've got to support the things around you.
Wow.
And it also attracts big companies, because companies want, if they want foreign companies come here, they not only want the jobs, but they want this other services that service their employees.
Well, you're
Well,
talking about
yeah.
like what happened with Google, right? So Google built that Google fiber thing in the fourth ward, first ward,
think-
first ward,
Yeah.
or right on the edge of the two.
Right.
And their whole thing was like, oh, it's going to be like Google, just in Charlotte. Okay, well, I've been to Google's headquarters.
Yeah.
This ain't it.
Right.
One. And two, it's like, there was a big Google Fiber sign outside. Okay, well, you haven't even told us what Google Fiber is.
Right.
What's the culture here? What are you giving? What
Mm-hmm.
do you know what I mean? What's the exchange here? There were already people who took Segway tours around that area already. So we got the quirky. What are y'all bringing?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to it was just like, well, we got this big facility. Cool. Is it like a YouTube studio? Can we go in there and do this?
Exactly.
No, it's for our staff. And okay, so great.
So it's a closed door.
Right. Another
Yeah.
closed door.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We
Yeah.
can look at
Love
it.
that.
But we can't really be a part of it. And there's too much of that around.
I agree.
Right now, the biggest comic convention that we have, and one of the biggest in Southeast, is Heroes Con, right? I love Heroes Con. It's at the Charlotte Convention Center every June. It's a fantastic thing. And the experience is very similar to what I just described at All-Star Weekend. You go to the convention center, you leave the convention center.
Right.
I usually park near the convention center. You go in underground, you
Right.
get back in the car, you go back to where you go.
Yeah.
No, New York Comic Con is the whole town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
San Diego,
Yeah.
why else would I go to San Diego?
Right.
No offense, but why else would I go to that town?
Right. Right.
Except for the Comic Con, and you get to see so much of the town.
Yeah.
And they promote that. That's something that we gotta jump on. Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
It is Miss Dollars, because then you discover a restaurant, you discover a bar, you discover a clothing store that you,
You
didn't
discover
know.
people.
Right.
Charlotte also has plays. So just like when you have the Super Bowl in New York,
Come on.
people are going to the Broadway play.
Yes.
Go to the play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I also think, and I'm just gonna say it, and feelings might be hurt, but I'm gonna say it. But I think that is an intersection of Charlotte and the underlying racial issues that are here.
Oh, for sure.
Like at the end of the day, when you don't support people of color
Right.
and their creativity and their initiatives, the town suffers. It just does.
It doesn't grow.
It does
Yeah.
not grow.
Right.
And I think that Charlotte has a very tough pill to swallow. I think that they are trying. I think the
Yeah.
Women's March, it did show, excuse me, I think the Women's March did show that there was intent and that there's someone in this town that gets, you know what, we need to be inclusive.
Right.
So I think that the Women's March, when they reached out to the League of 100 Black Women. I think that's the organization. I
think
might
you're
be
right.
wrong.
Yeah.
When they reached out to them, I think that was an important first. Well, I can't say it was a first step, but I think it was an important step
Right.
on
Yeah.
top of other steps. So I think that just understanding that people of color are not. There's a ceiling here for people of color.
Oh,
and
for
I think
sure.
and that you can't go but so far.
That's so true.
In corporate and in private, like we are not getting the loans that we're supposed to get.
Right,
We
right.
are not getting the support that we're supposed to get. Whereas
You
when
got
you go
it.
to a town like Atlanta and you go to, people, I know they don't want this to be the next Atlanta.
Right, right.
But it can be something else.
Of course it
You know,
can.
it can be, a lot. It could be a lot. We could redefine what we want.
That's true.
But I think the idea that they do not want to fund Black and brown people is something that Charlotte's going to have to deal with, or all these apartments that they're building and all this stuff that's going in the next 20 years,
It's gonna be a little
going to be an
empty.
abandoned town. It's going to
Yeah.
be an abandoned town.
Yeah.
And the reason is going to be because they did not embrace people of color.
Yeah.
They did not say, we need to find out how to add more texture to the community.
I agree.
And if they do not figure that out, young people are not planning to stay here.
Right.
Like, my son and his friends, they want to go. Like,
Yeah, of course, of course.
they don't see the world the way we see it.
Right.
They're talking about living in Africa now.
There you go.
They're
Yeah.
talking about, that's right. They're talking about moving to the Caribbean for
Mm-hmm.
real. Not like us. We go on a vacation. They're like, oh, I could really live a life here. No, like these kids are like, no, they are digging for opportunities
Yeah.
in Ghana. They are digging for opportunities
Smart.
in Lagos.
That's smart.
They are digging for, and they are welcoming these kids. They are digging for opportunities in Australia and Russia
Yeah.
and all these places that people are turning their nose up,
Sure.
at, in China, in Singapore, in Japan. these kids are like saying, no, I do not have to live in the United States. And so when you look at a town like Charlotte, we've got work to do.
Yeah,
because
we do.
we've got to make it appealing. And to your point, like these kids are foodies like crazy. Like they know a good flavor.
Yeah.
So like I said, if this is a town with a culinary school and there's not even a block, you know, like where we come from in Brooklyn, there's at least a block where it's like, yo, if you don't do nothing else, you got to go to MLK Boulevard, right? Because they got everything you need over there.
Right,
or you got to go
right.
to Chinatown because they got everything you need, you know? Like we don't have that.
Yeah.
NOTA, but it's still not where we want.
Not quite.
Yeah, nothing is like there.
Right.
It's like if you don't do nothing else, you get Plaza Mid was one of the few places that you get a little bit of flavor.
They're making the best effort.
They are.
Is in Plaza Mid,
They
as
are.
I've seen.
That's
Yeah.
true. Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up a little
Yeah,
bit.
we got to, 'cause we could be here all
This
night.
is the kickoff of Black History Month.
Yes, we did that.
This is how we
kicked
kick
it
off Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I never wanted to have a traditional thing for Black History Month because
Right.
we're so layered as a people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a ton of things to talk about, a ton of things that we do. Nobody really talks about them, so we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So,
But I love what
again,
you're doing, and we really appreciate it because you are really, no, seriously, it really, just your idea of Black History Month and having just people here in Charlotte come to your show and talk to you.
And a
I
wide
think
range of
that-
people,
I
too.
think that that's
Yeah.
going to be another building brick to what we just talked about.
Exactly.
I think it gives all of us a visibility and a consortium of sorts, and to use this platform, you know, to really get it out there that, you know, we're here.
right.
we're here.
Well, Margo, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very
Appreciate
much. Coming on the show next week
Hey.
are these guys.
Yeah.
Keep It Hemple is coming up on the show. I think it's
Yes.
February 4th. And we grow medically inspired hemp. My first sign or text said,
Yeah.
we grow marijuana or something like that. And they're like,
You
Steve,
can't
could
say
you
that.
change that? I said, sure. So I changed it. But yeah, these guys are coming
Yeah.
on the show. Also next week, William
awesome.
Wilson. We're talking
nice.
fashion and politics.
Oh, fabulous.
That's what he does for a living.
I'll be
Nice.
into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that's all I'm going to put up there for now.
Okay.
But folks,
Cool. I saw
Stay
your
tuned.
list. Great. I'm looking
Good.
forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good month.
Definitely.
That's-
Yeah.
it's a packed month.
Yeah,
It's a
good.
packed month, man.
Yeah.
So this is working out
It's a
really,
great
really
idea.
well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
guys.
doing the work,
I appreciate
man.
that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. But listen, folks, we're going to close it out. I thank you guys for watching. I know some of you may have said, "Shit, they're still on." I'm like, yeah, we're still on, and I appreciate everybody watching. And if you didn't watch the entire thing, you can just pick it up and watch it anytime you want. So we're going to go ahead and close this bad boy out, and we'll see you the next time.